Hi, everyone. How's it going? This is Christian with Liberty After Dark, and this is episode 9 with Dave and Mary from Liberty Late Night, the wonderful hosts of the nighttime libertarian anarchist show. Absolutely fantastic people. We go over a ton of topics, mostly starting off the show as kind of an interview, me asking them questions, getting their opinions on a whole bunch of variety of topics. So lots of good stuff to cover. Like I said, this is part 1. And there will be a part 2 releasing shortly after this. So I won't hold you all any longer. Please enjoy the show. We'll just go ahead. I'll do my little intro bit. This is Liberty After Dark. We have the fantastic celebritarian superstars of the Liberty Memes podcasting community, David and Barry from Liberty Late Night. How are you guys doing today?
Super
awesome.
Super great. Yes. Thank you for having us on.
It's been a nice day, a nice week.
Fantastic to hear. Yeah. I hear you guys are enjoying the vacation time and able to relax. So that's always good.
It is. Yeah. It is.
We haven't been doing anything productive.
Well, Dave's always productive, at work and stuff, but it's nice for him to have all day to kind of just be with the kids and
do what I want,
do things at his leisure time.
Well, I was about to say, maybe not being productive isn't the best answer because, like I said, you guys are the most popular stream in the Liberty Memes network, and you guys have had quite a few high-profile people on your show. So I wanted to take a little bit of time to ask how all of this started. Like when did you guys decide that you wanted to start doing stuff like this? Just go ahead and tell your story for the people.
Go ahead.
Oh, well, you can interject anytime, Dave.
You know how we do.
We just started with our phone on the couch one day. We wanted
we started on somebody else's stream. That's what happens. And I think that's what happens to a lot of people is you get bit by the bug when somebody else is like, hey, they're just doing some live stream and they're like, hey, I'm going to bring this person on. And you go on and they're like, well, that was a lot of fun.
And not as scary as you think, being live. But yeah, so then after that, we're like, well, let's just take out the phone and sit on the couch and see what happens. And people started joining and we were just interacting in the comments, and that was really our goal, was to just meet the community. We had just kind of gotten into LMPM at that point, and we just wanted to get to know the people, and so that's what we were doing
and help everybody else get to know each other.
And that's
still kind of what we do.
Started. And that is sort of our goal, I think, is that we want to connect with people and help them connect too. So we enjoy it. But then
it all kind of got out of hand.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, because I like the technical side of it. So I'm like, oh, we could have some fun with this. It's like, we got a webcam because our phones are so bad. And I'm like, well, we got this webcam. Let's get a green screen. Let's see what happens with that. And I'm like, well, how do I stream through a webcam? And then it just kept going and going. And now we got like this fully produced little live stream that we call a show now.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is, though. It's good. I mean, you guys offer a product that isn't offered by too many people. Because I think, in the vein of that professional work style that a lot of people seek, like you were talking about, you didn't lose the grassroots feeling of just talking to two people, having, just...
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't come off as like this is some, super professional production, not in the sense of quality, but in the sense of, that by the book style of
oh, thank you. I'm happy to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We know it's a circus,
but that's part of
we
the
like that
charm. Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then depending on how long you stay, the further it deteriorates.
Trust me, I can relate to that. Anybody who's been here for a Saturday stream, you get a couple drinks in me and you start talking about cops, and the next thing you know, I'm standing up and yelling in my room. So,
Oh that's awesome. That is like the feel that we wanted to keep, was just the real genuine, we just want to hang out and this is how we do it. So I'm happy that it still comes across that way because that's what we want.
So what is your favorite part of, we talked about kind of what your mission statement would be as far as connecting with the community and getting the message of not even just yourselves, but of other people out there, which is great, facilitating the conversation. But what would you say is like your favorite parts or moments of your time streaming so far?
I think it's when we have nobody on and it's just me and her and the comments are working good and you have a lively crowd there that's interacting and it's like you can tell they're cracking up just as hard as we are. Just that our banter between us two, but also the banter in the comments and between us and the comments. I think that's actually my favorite part is like when we don't have any real guest on, but it's just a party, you know?
Yeah, like we are all hanging out.
We just happen to be the ones on camera.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. I like all of it. I mean, you know what, though, when we do have a guest, I love hearing the story of how people came to Liberty or, you know, Anarchy, whatever it is, wherever they are. That is one of the things I first thought about when we were on the porch that very first time. I thought, man, that'd be awesome to just like kind of interview people, like just to see how they got here. Because how did we all get to Liberty Beams community group? You know, how did we get to, we know our story, how we became libertarians and then anarchists. But so that's a fun thing for me too, but I love all of it, really. I hate to be one of those people that I can't pick just one thing.
Yeah, I know that it's also fun, like when we do have like when we had Vermin Supreme on and Larry Sharp, like those are probably the two biggest names that we had, but to just like be able to relate with them like on a human level rather than being like a professional interview. We're just having a conversation and we try to keep it like that, and I think it really takes their guard down and they can just kind of reciprocate. It was
neat to talk to Vermin without having a constant, you know, rotation of the boot on his head and everything. Like he really did talk, you know. Yeah, he wasn't always in character. So that was cool.
I think a lot of it comes down to, you know, whenever at least I imagine, I've never spoken to one, but it just comes off when people speak to news organizations. You always have to have your guard on because they'll take a clip of whatever you said and blast it. So, but you don't have to worry about Dave and Mary at Liberty Late Night taking your words out of context and putting you up as like, oh my God, Vermin Supreme said kill the kittens, you know, or whatever.
Oh, right, exactly.
The comments section does that.
We get our things quoted back to us.
Guilty.
It's part of the fun. I love it. It's part of the fun. But yeah, we're not into you know, finding that clip where somebody is obviously saying something, but we want to spin it, you know, to make it different. That's not how we roll.
Yeah, we have no agenda.
No agenda at all.
That's good. That's a good thing, though. And, you know, like I said, I think that's part of the reason why you can get these more, you know, transparent interview styles or just conversations like you were saying. I mean, Larry Sharp on y'all's show versus Larry Sharp on, you know, the Joe Rogan Experience was two completely different people. And, you know, I mean, same message overall, but two completely different people. One came off as significantly more relatable and human than the other one did. You know, the Robo Sharp, as I've heard him be called before. So.
I know somebody said that, but that again just blows my mind that we had the same guest that Joe Rogan did. Holy shit!
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm waiting to hear when you know, like Donald Trump or somebody is coming on your show to talk about.
Oh my goodness!
See, that's part of my ignorance too. It's like I know Larry Sharp's. You know, he ran for governor. Right?
Yeah, of New York.
Yeah, just recently governor
of New York, and it's like that's about all I knew. I knew he was kind of a big name because I heard about him, and I'm not paying attention. So if I actually remember hearing about somebody, I know that they're kind of important because I know Erie libertarians that I'm kind of connected with. We're talking about them, and they're pulling for him because it's kind of local, you know, and we can have a little bit of effect over here. But it was just neat that he's a pretty big name.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah, I try to remember that everybody's human.
You know,
so I don't get nervous.
I coined the term transitarian because I couldn't think of any other thing that worked for the transitory style of peacefully trying to fix as much as we can in the system, transitioning to liberty. So I call it transitarian.
There you go.
But
I like it.
It's, you know, I mean, I was pulling for Larry Sharp in New York, and I was, you know, in the middle of Georgia at that point, and I was like, this guy would be fantastic for New York. You guys should all vote for him. I was posting stuff on my Facebook about it, you know, long before all of this, and I would get messages from people like, "Dude, you're from Texas and you're living in Georgia. Why are you posting about a guy in New York?" And I say, because he's saying things that are important.
And it's a foot in the door for all of us.
Exactly.
So yeah, just to get that foot in to have a viable candidate do something and actually get the word out louder on a bigger stage.
Yeah,
he definitely
like that first example if he won.
He definitely broke down a wall, at least, if nothing else. He broke down a wall and got the libertarians on the New York ticket at the very bottom of the ticket, but it's there.
They're there.
So, and say what you want about the party, say what you want about the people in it. I think Larry has taken a very specific stance on, yes, things need to change, but let's change them. So
yeah.
Don't just talk about it.
I like that he's keeping his fire going. He's not just letting it die out. He's still out there right now, not just waiting until the next election cycle to start talking, about the Libertarian Party again. He's really out there trying to meet with people and keep that flame going. And I think that's what we need, because too many people die out and they get sad and don't want to do anything more, which is how we ended up after Ron Paul. We were very sad and we just I'm like, it's over. It's the end.
Yeah. We kind of just scrapped it all and been like, okay, forget that.
Yeah.
It's
like, this is just how it's going to be what it is. So
it's definitely an uphill battle, and it is not something that is going to happen overnight. Not even close. I mean,
no.
Looking at what we have now, it would take a miracle to even see a massive change in a decade, 2 decades, possibly.
Yeah.
But, I always say that if the country is freer when I die than when I was born, I will take that as the win that it is, while possibly not a victory,
Yeah.
It's
hey, that's a really good way to look at it. Yes. And that's another thing too, when I hear people's stories about how they self, I came over to the other side, but to hear other people say that, wow, yeah, like I voted straight Democrat or straight Republican and I was, go team, but to find out that their mind was changed, and opened, it gives me hope for a lot of people that I think of or see in the world, that they can change. They just need the right message for them to open up. In that way.
I don't even know if the two parties realize how good of a job they're doing at making anarchists, or at least minarchists, to be honest. Because it's like,
right.
The more people they screw, the less people want to deal with them anymore. And
to be a part of that.
Exactly. It's, the old adage, you vote Democrat, you get screwed. You vote Republican, you get screwed. And then you forgot, so you vote Democrat again. And then you forget.
Right.
So
it's another abusive relationship.
It is back and forth, yeah.
You just keep coming back for more,
They do.
They'll change. They're going to change this time.
Yeah.
They told me they appreciate me,
Oh, boy.
Oh. So before we could go in too far, what is one thing, and this could be both of you combined or separately, what is one thing that you either are looking forward to or have plans for the future of your show?
Oh boy.
Or maybe a goal that you guys want to reach. That's fine. Take your time. The magic of editing can fix anything. So,
sweet.
I think it'd be cool to make a little money off of it. I'm going to say that.
Oh, go for it. Yeah,
it's like that, Dave. That's part of it. We're putting time and effort, and we are putting money into this. Like, even though it's in our house now, so it's our stuff, but still, a lot of effort does actually go into this during the week. A lot of stress, and it's like need to be compensated a little bit, but. I kind of I just want to keep meeting new people too.
Yeah.
Like that's really cool. Like, I want to see how far we can take this thing. Who else can we get on here?
I just enjoy meeting the people. So it amazes me. I'm humbled that people even hang out and watch our show. Mm-hmm. But if people hang out and more people hang out, then we get to meet even more people. And that's great. That's what I love. That's what I started for, and that's what I want to keep doing. So
my Facebook friends list is getting diversified.
Mm-hmm. Someday I would like to come out of the anarchy closet and share these videos of ours or stuff.
It's like, we're dabbled
out there where I can, my family I know will see, and my other friends, but right now I just have my toe barely in the water. So outside of the group, I don't want the fight, but I need the fight to spread the message. So
yeah. Well, I'll be egerly awaiting the Liberty Late Night Patreon so that I can throw some money at that. So I'm sure plenty of other people here would too as well. So that would, something.
Who knows? It might already exist.
It's a humbling experience. to hear anyone even say that. It really is. It just, I'm like embarrassed.
Don't be.
Like, that's really.
If you offer a quality product, people will pay for it. It's that simple. Honestly, I mean, you know. I mean,
yeah. But
oh no, I was just gonna say that's what it comes down to. You know, if people like your product, they'll be willing to pay for it, and if they don't, then they won't. And it's that simple.
Then they won't.
Yeah,
Exactly.
My own self-doubt screams at me like, nobody cares about this. This is just a joke. This is garbage. You know, people enjoy it, but what is that? And then, but it's like, evidently people like it. There's people are wearing T-shirts. Like that just blows my mind that people own T-shirts that say Liberty Late Night on them.
I still can't believe it. I still can't believe it.
The whole family of Fleegers out there with Liberty Late Night T-shirts.
Right.
It's insane.
I love it. It's amazing. It's amazing. My low self-esteem is all like
saying hi to Kevin right now. Nivek.
Makes me feel like not worthy of it.
See, look, John says he'll buy you a cup of coffee a month. So there we go.
Hey, thank you. All right. This is great. Oh, I see the Fleegers are here. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and now I can release it. This was all part of my big marketing strategy to get you guys on.
Yes.
I'm just kidding. No, but that's all fantastic stuff. And so for the masses, so you guys are non-voters, right? Or is that still the stance that you guys hold?
I did vote last time.
I go back and forth,
and like if some of the local things I will vote Libertarian, but I won't compromise my principles on like the presidential and stuff like that just because I don't want somebody elected. I'm not going to vote against anybody. I'll only vote for somebody. I refuse to vote against anybody. So I'm not that's my principle on that. And so most of the time on the last few presidential elections, I've either written in Vermin Supreme. I actually written in Ron Paul of 2012. I put the year in there too.
Right. You have to put the year in.
Because I just like to make myself laugh sometimes.
And then it has to show up on the list.
Yeah, because then I go real quick the next day. They put the list up of all the votes, the tallied votes, and they actually have to write out the write-ins. There it is, Ron Paul 2012.
That was you.
They had to print it out.
I feel like I go back and forth with voting. For a little while, I didn't. I wasn't participating in any of the local things, but I do feel like I have, I guess, a voice in it. Because they tell me I do. It might be garbage, but whatever. So I'm going to take my vote and put it where I would like it because it's supposed to be mine. Mm-hmm. They say they want you to pick one of the two. But I don't want one of those guys, so I'm going to put my vote where I want it. And I know people say, well, you're throwing it away. Not to me. To me, I did what I wanted, what I felt was best for my country and with my vote. So they can take it how they want to, but I don't know. I'm still torn. Even though I do that, I think, should I even be playing the game in any way? Should we be playing the game? It's a game,
That's another thing. It's like, I almost don't want to encourage them.
Yeah. So I'm a little torn on
voting.
that.
Yeah, it's the great dilemma of the libertarian, or especially the anarchists. Like, you want to reject the state, and some people reject it entirely as much as they can and are as agoristic as possible, which I think is a noble goal. It's a difficult one to meet, though. I will accept that. Yeah. And there is an extent to where there is a lot of sense in that, is that you won't even perpetuate the idea of the vote as some sort of legitimization of the system. But at the same time, I couldn't do it without helping or without feeling like I didn't do something that I could have. Me not voting didn't change anything. It just meant that I didn't vote. That's all that it means. So,
right. Yeah.
You can feel good about what you did. And I don't judge people that don't vote. I don't care.
Oh yeah, either way. It's their decision.
You do you, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like, I'm not gonna. I always joke that every time someone posts something that you're like, oh, everyone should get out and vote. Well, if you're a Republican, all the Democrats will post that, and then they'll be like, except for you don't vote. And the same thing, vice versa. Right. And if you're a libertarian, they both tell you not to vote. So you're gonna
pollute the voting pool.
Yep.
nonsense. Uh-oh.
So here, somebody saying my name. I might have to go check on a child. Mm-hmm. But we'll give that another minute and see.
Yeah, hopefully that goes away.
Hopefully they're just talking in their sleep.
Yeah, that's fine before we start getting into some more discussion. John here says that voting is for suckers, and you're completely entitled to hold that perspective on it. By all means, go.
Yeah.
For it. If you don't want to vote, I invoke the spooner as often as possible whenever someone comes to me about voting and what I think on it. So we talked about that last night.
That the other night. Yeah.
Do you want to take care of David?
And one of the things is that by either not voting or voting for somebody you know isn't going to win, or at least a libertarian candidate that doesn't want to enforce their views and tax me more, then that's fine. But when you are voting for the two major parties, you're voting because you want somebody you want to control me the way that you want me to be controlled, or to take some of my money to be spent in ways that they want it to be spent. Then your vote is almost attacking me.
Yeah.
But whereas if you're just voting to show either you don't agree with what they're giving you, or you're somebody at least who isn't going to try to violate me, whatever, do what you want to do.
Exactly, right? So as long as you're not trying to step on my my liberties and my rights, then we'll probably at least come to some sort of understanding on what's going on with the voting here. But that typically, if you're voting for one of the two big parties, is not the case. So very unfortunate, but that's just part of the deal, I guess. Especially these days. We joke all the time, and I feel like for some reason we attract more Republicans than we do Democrats as our like weird cousin that we don't really like to talk about, but they're like kind of sort of family, I guess, in a way. We have similar roots, I suppose, but it's a completely different perspective once you really start digging into it on how the country should be run and how much the government should have a role in social workings, if any, which we obviously say none. So
yeah.
It's just
they're still authoritarian.
Oh, of course, yeah, exactly.
Different flavor. And it does seem like a little bit less authoritarian, but it's still yeah, and it seems like the. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say there's definitely examples on both sides. We knock on the left a lot because I think the left has like a more quote unquote immediate threat to most of us, especially when they talk about things like implementing these huge taxes and Green New Deals and changing all these social policies and hate speech and it's just intersectionality.
Yeah, a lot more thought crime there.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
100%.
See, I think, and that's another thing is just the whole nation has become more socially liberal. It's like, whereas maybe back in the day, the right was more like to tell you how to live your life, and it seems like they've kind of given up on that a little bit just because the crowd is against them on like gay marriage and stuff like that. They're just kind of like, okay, just it's not so. At least to me, it doesn't seem like they're hitting that one as hard. Like they'll still vote like it silently, but I think outwardly it seems like it's a losing argument for a lot of the politicians and stuff like that, and they really don't touch it. So it seems a lot of why the left is so much more dangerous, like you said, it's they want social change now, and they want to, and like I was saying, it's almost like they want certain ways of thinking to actually be a crime. It's like you need to get in the line, or you need to almost be re-educated or something in a way, you know what I mean? Like you're being intolerant. We need to straighten that out. That is scary, that kind of stuff.
So we have something from Olivia here that I'd like to bring up since she posted it. She says, I have a question. A lot of people, I think, are afraid of anarchists because they associate it with something negative. Many of my friends included. How would you go about trying to change the negative connotation that anarchy or being an anarchist has for many people? Well, this is a lot of a reason why, and me and Sherry had a discussion about this when she was on. The biggest thing is that you have to really, you either have to come up with a new brand, which we've typically used anarcho-capitalism, because then people kind of have to ask the question, like, well, what do you
just
think
say
is that?
ANCAP or just I'm libertarian.
Yeah, exactly. One of those, because when you say anarchist, there is that negative connotation that comes
from
with
grade school. I remember feeling that in grade school. Like I was you were taught that like anarchy was a scary, dangerous word. Like I can remember thinking that because there was a kid in my grade school and his parents must have been woke or something because he's putting that the circle on stuff. I'm like, what does that mean? He's like, oh, that means anarchy. And then I don't know where it was coming from, but I knew I was supposed to feel afraid of that. Like that was dangerous and scary. And evidently it must be something that's ingrained in us in our education, or I don't think it was my parents. They never really talked about politics that much.
Yeah. Well, even the definition of the word anarchy, you just Google it. It is that the thing that you think in your head when you hear the word anarchy as a status is just like people, lighting dumpsters on fire and flipping cars. It's that reactionary, basically mob violence and all that crazy stuff that comes about, when you typically hear the use of the word anarchy. And I don't think people understand that is not at all what we want,
Mm-hmm. Like Rusty says, I have to explain that it doesn't involve pipe bombs and bandanas.
Well, most of the time. Anyways,
I like to dig up a picture of Jeffrey Tucker anytime I say anarchist, and you got this goofy guy with a bow tie on. There's an anarchist.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not. There's such a big stereotype that we would just be like this society of like roaming bandits and raiders, just like stealing from everybody, and be like Mad Max. And I just don't think people. I think that's a fantastic story and should make a great book, and you should write it. But, I think that's about as far as it goes.
Cool story, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, like Rusty says, he said, the pipe bomb comment, and he says, unless they fuck with my property. Exactly. Yeah.
And then that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, bandanas and pipe bombs after that. But, before then.
Once the nap's already violated, then gloves are off, buddy.
Very true.
So here's something that I think is interesting that I'd like to take your perspectives on. And Jacob says anarchy is about no authority and no rules with a Z.
Not no rules.
Oh, not no rules. Excuse me. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yes, not no rules. Exactly.
So, I saw that somebody wrote that somewhere. I don't know if it was on a meme or a post or something where, it's not no rules. It's just no rulers. Society will still have its rules.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you have to adhere. You have to respect other people's natural rights, and that's pretty much as far as it goes. Other than that, do what you want to do.
So I was just about to ask you, in your, because everybody's got their own, but maybe not a twist, but everybody has their own perspective on looking at things. What are the rules for you, and where does that come from?
It's like what you teach your kids: don't hurt people and don't take or break their stuff. I think that's pretty much how I apply it. It's like, as long as I'm not hurting you, or I'm not only just stealing your stuff, but like, because people get into environmental regulations, stuff like that. How are we going to handle people polluting and stuff like that? Well, that's private property. If you're polluting, you're hurting their stuff. You're breaking their stuff. You're breaking their water or their land or their air or whatever. You're violating their stuff, and that so then we need to get that straightened out. But other than that, if you're just doing something on your land that ain't affecting anybody else, there's always gray areas, but then do what you want. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. I feel the same way. It was hard for me at first to really kind of let go of the whole government thing because I always wanted to say, well, shouldn't there be a law? Shouldn't there be a law? And then I'm like, wait a second. No, Mary, get out of that thinking, for me, the same thing is just be good to other people, don't harm them. Don't violate the nap. You can do what you want to do to your body. It is yours. I don't have control over that. So if they made all of the drugs legal and y'all wanted to go do every single one of them, that's your choice.
Just don't expect me to pay for the consequences. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
People are going to learn
self-control.
Yeah.
A little better. I know what you're saying. I can't think of the word though. Mm-hmm. But the responsibility. Yeah.
But learn that real quick.
I do. I feel that way, that it's just don't hurt other people and stop trying to push your stuff on everybody else. Don't let you be you. I'll be me, and we can be free together.
I like John's perspective. There should be a law against laws. Hopefully there wouldn't have to be, but hey, it's the one law.
The one law is no more laws.
Yeah. Oh,
I hate it when I catch myself saying that too.
Mm-hmm.
Like stop it, Mary. Stop saying that. laws are bad. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
It's definitely, it's hard to talk to people about it. I mean, I dropped the taxation of staff bomb at work, and I got, the whole room basically turned around and was like, what did he just
Looking
say?
at you like, what?
Like, they all pretty much knew I was a libertarian, but I don't think I'd ever just come out and said, like, they were talking about, oh yeah, taxes, like, necessary price, civilized, blah 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 blah. And I was,
Who do you think's paying our paychecks, man?
Yeah. Well, that's what I said. I was like, well, I guess I just won't have a job anymore. Dang.
Darn it.
I'll have to go do something,
productive
in society. And I understand, your thoughts on where you're at, so I can joke like that.
No, of course, I completely
welfare
agree.
whore.
No.
Yeah, just for real. I mean, fire me already. God, I've been trying for so long.
Trying so
It's
hard.
like MASH when he keeps trying to dress up as a woman, so they'll kick him out. Basically, at that point,
just want a discharge, please.
There we go.
And the first thing I got is I have this newer coworker who's been in about as long as I have, and he is pretty left. He's not like he's not whack job. He's what you would
obnoxious.
Yeah, he's what you would have called in like 2008 a conservative Democrat back when they still existed. And
okay.
So he's not, ultra far left, but he definitely is very adverse to anything that is even remotely right or libertarian. And so the second I came out with that, he was like, oh, well, how do we pay for the roads, bud? And I was, we got into the death spiral that is roads, where it's just so obvious that there's the fundamental disconnect there. And I remember we reached a point where he was like, well, I gave him the situation of, if you see a pothole and you want it fixed, why don't you and your neighbors just get together and fix the pothole?
You got this one.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, our kids are having night terrors, so they took turns tonight having them.
Oh, fun. Always fun.
Yeah, it is. It's exciting. I like that, what you said, though. Like, yeah, just get together and fix the dang pothole. Stop waiting for somebody to come do it,
Yeah, and his answer to that was, well, that's never going to happen. People are never going to fix potholes. And I said, okay, well, then your options are don't get the pothole fixed or force people at gunpoint to cough up money to fix a pothole. And I said, I'm just going to have to drive around the pothole then, because I'm not going to let that happen.
Exactly.
And then it just shows you where the disconnect is, because then he just started going off on a tirade about how, well, the potholes don't get fixed, and then nothing happens, and then we just stagnate. And to an extent, I don't think that's that bad of a thing, but at the same time, we've seen anarchists. Most of them have been left anarchists for better or for worse, but they've been going out and fixing potholes. We had Domino's fixing potholes.
Yes.
I mean,
yes,
there are options out there.
People will do that. Yeah. I don't know why they think if the government isn't doing it, if the state program, isn't going to be in place for it, we're all going to die.
They just don't like, they just don't like that answer, though. They don't like hearing, because there are going to be people, and I've accepted this, there are going to be people who say, well, I'm not paying for that. And you say, okay, then, Jeff, you didn't want to pay for the pothole, whatever. Everyone will remember that. It's like, oh, someone took your car? Well, that really sucks,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I think.
Oh,
go
sorry.
ahead.
I definitely messed up the stream a little bit there. That was my bad. Keep going.
The whole roads thing, it blows my mind how many people, that's one of their first things, that comes up. I did share something one time on my page not that long ago, because I'm inching out of the closet here. And that was like the first comment, well, what about the roads? And then it was education. And, it was like a few other things after that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, the government doesn't belong in any of that, and I didn't know how to respond, nicely, because my first thought was to do like the mock Bob, like my roads, But, I simply stated that the government doesn't need to have their hands in any of that in order for us to have successful things like functioning roads and educating our children and things like that. But it's weird how that's one of those things that people are so worried about.
And I don't know how y'all state is, but we pay like a stupid property tax in the local and state level,
Mhm.
and our roads don't get fixed even in a remotely timely manner. It could be.
Oh no,
There was a pothole, a giant pothole out in front of my school that was there for like 5 years before it was finally filled in. It was so bad that people were basically just driving on the shoulder of the road for a long time. So
No.
that's even worse.
So it became another lane.
That is worse than here.
Somebody was saying, like, our state here, that we have the highest gas tax in the country, state gas tax, and horrible roads. I mean, we have horrible weather for roads, but just where's all that money going?
Well, obviously you need a higher gas tax to fix your roads.
Yeah, maybe a little bit higher.
That's the only answer.
Pennsylvania roads are complicated. They require more money.
Right.
There's a lot more twists in them,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you go to Pittsburgh, man. Talk about twists.
Oh, there are some.
Take 3 right turns and end up in a different county.
Oh man.
I wonder if we could find something better to fix the roads with.
Oh, could you imagine if innovation was something that mattered when you were operating?
Yeah.
Maybe there's something better to make roads out of that doesn't break every time it snows.
We're filling this pothole 18 times a year.
Resurfacing the whole highway.
Yeah, maybe.
Every year.
Just maybe there's a better answer than what we keep doing.
Oh, God forbid. God forbid you change someone's roads. Then they'll have nothing.
Oh, no, yeah. That's the first thing.
And there's so much potential. I mean, not just with roads, but pretty much every industry that has just completely stagnated. I mean, even electricity. I don't know so much about y'all's state, but basically Texas's power grid hasn't changed since the 50s. And
oh yeah,
it's we get rolling blackouts all the time. We get unintentional blackouts all the time, especially during the summer when everybody's ACs are cranked up to 11.
Yeah.
The power grid just can't support the people, and there's the money's there, but the going through the nightmare of government bureaucracy to try to fix the power grid is so much of a hassle that it would take decades to fix even a small portion of it.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, that's like eerie. Yeah, anytime we got a nice storm coming through, I'm at work. I'm like, ooh, power's gonna go out. You're gonna have a good 20 minutes of darkness and just silence.
Yeah, at your job for sure. Yep.
Yeah, it's like every time a storm, it's like, yeah, it's probably going to go out. They actually got to the point where like, oh, a storm's coming through, shut down all the equipment so that we're in a controlled stop when it does go out, or if it does go out, because they'd rather deal with that than have everything mid-cycle.
Yeah, mid-cycle turn off. Yeah.
Because we've lost some stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
Lean over the wrong way and the power comes back on. That sounds like a fun time,
Oh boy. Yeah. Oh boy.
Oh man.
It's scary where he works, yeah.
I could talk about roads specifically for literally hours. I have before. It's just a good branching off point because it's where everyone starts, and then usually they go one of two ways, and they just, well, 3 possibly, but they usually say, okay, just know you're wrong, or they give you the move to Somalia, or they say, oh, well, maybe you do have a point. And usually when I hear that one, like the ray of light shines through the clouds and it hits the both of us, and like a connection has been made.
You have that moment.
Yeah, progress.
I'm going to admit something here is I don't have a quick, easy answer to that question, to the roads question.
I don't know if there is.
Like Mary said.
I don't know if there is like an easy answer.
An easy one, yeah.
All I knew is that there was roads before government. There's roads before income tax. There's roads, with a lack of government. Deer have roads.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of like roads are going to happen. As long as Walmart wants customers to come to their store, they're going to figure out a way to get us there.
Yeah. Yep.
I often say I thank the state for making the highway system, because God forbid a bunch of townships trying to coordinate a semi-efficient highway system. But it's already here.
Statist.
Yeah.
It's already
So
here.
I'm going to go ahead and enjoy that.
It's already here. We can just improve on what already exists. Okay, and if you want to build new ones, it's a lot easier now that everything is already established and we already have all the existing routes. So
Yeah, I think even with that, with a convoluted jigsaw puzzle interstate that would happen with decentralization, I still think there would be some capitalist would come in and be like, you know what, I'm going to set up a toll road and I'm going to make it straight. And then they're going to figure out a way to make it straight, or the best possible product that they can offer because they want to have the most customers. Mm-hmm. And so I think it would eventually straighten itself out. Eventually, enough people would be offered the right money to give up their land to put that toll road through there, or you have your easy pass or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it'd be a nice road.
So John's here. So every time John comes on, I give him a little bit of crap for his Yang Gang 2020. But I actually,
is he one of them?
Yeah, a little bit. He wants his $1,000, and so I did
his money bags.
I wanted to transition to, and I know this isn't John by any means, but there's quite a few people who have interacted with who are like this in libertarian communities. So we have our way of approaching anarcho-capitalism or anarchy, however you want to call it, which I think are pretty similar. And you have this other side of the coin, which there's really three, I guess, if you want to look at it. You have like our transitarians, as I like to call them, people who just want to peacefully transition into an anarchist society, which I think is probably the most stable and likely in my personal opinion. But then you have your revolutionary, burn everything to the ground and start over, which
people dragging guillotines around.
Oh boy.
I mean, I understand the message behind that. I think Ben White's still here, so I love what you guys do there.
I like his style.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a wake up call. It's like open carrying, it's just.
I think there is a difference, though, even between exercising your rights and making a statement like that, though, and the people who are actually like, I'm just waiting. Like, I've got my minigun. Like, I'm just ready to mow down some states.
Today's the day.
Yeah. Ready. Exactly. And there are people who are like that. And I can't really understand it. That's just not me. But and you have this third coin, which are the collapsitarians, which is an interesting philosophy that I don't know how much you guys have heard.
I know exactly where you're going. Yeah. No, I know exactly where you're going, though.
So
let them have everything they want.
Yeah. So there's this community. It's a small community, but there's a group of people inside of libertarianism who are for Andrew Yang because they believe that he will bring out the quickest downfall of America so that they can prop up their anarchist society. So what do you guys think about that idea? How does that sound to you?
Like the government antichrist that's just going to come like this beautiful being and destroy everything on accident, right?
Yeah, on accident.
Not by design on he's hoping for the best, but we just know what the results of his
will happen. Yeah. I never thought of it that way. I never looked at it in that. I mean, I've
seen enough memes that think of it, it's like when you're promoting communism because it sure kills a lot of communists.
I have thought of the whole like collapsing thing, like that's eventually. I mean,
it's almost inevitable.
Yeah, we're gonna get there. But
welcome to Rome.
I never thought about it, like being pro somebody who's gonna expedite that,
and being completely transparent about it too. Like I'm gonna vote for this person so that they drop the bottom out of the whole system on complete accident. So
yeah, that's interesting. It's I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah, you can't have a massive deficit if there's no government. So
you can't really be mad at them.
Yeah. I think there are a lot of problems with that idea. Mm-hmm. I will say it's probably more likely to lead to at least the existence of some townships and some libertarian and anarcho-capitalist societies than the whole burn everything to the ground. I think that's a great way to get totalitarianism, but it's definitely not my favorite just because of how many people will be. And if you think like, the collapsing of the state overnight won't completely ruin a lot of people, you're insane. But
if you take away all the safety nets right now, it's going to be real ugly.
Be ugly. Yeah.
People don't know how to eat.
If you
people don't know how to get food.
If you remove I talk about this all the time. If you remove the welfare state, I mean, you have minimum hundreds of thousands of people who are just not going to be able to put food on the table anymore.
Yeah, and they're going to get pretty. Yeah.
And they're going to do whatever it takes to get food on the table. At some point.
I hate it when I'm halfway through a sentence and I forget the word that I want to use.
Oh, sorry. On the regular.
Oh God, all the time.
I feel like a friend of ours had mentioned something like that, pulling the rug out from underneath everybody, all the programs and stuff. And it's like, I'm not really for that, because I think it would hurt a lot of people who have just kind of grown to become dependent on this, because this is how they were taught. They're in their 50s or 60s
They're
now, and this
second, third generation.
Yeah, and there's really nothing. I guess I think of my dad, because of his heart condition and where he is with his physical health, that he and my mom too, they're not able to work. They do have, money coming in from his retirement fund and everything, but
they also have Social Security.
Yeah, they have Social Security
Medicare.
with his, and the Medicare. But I don't know. I'd like to think that they would have been more prepared had they thought that this would just be taken away, from them, but just to tear it out from them and people like them who actually need it right now to survive. They're in their late 60s. My mom is in her 70s. Yeah. There needs to be some sort of transition where it's like, okay, this is the cutoff. That's how I feel about it. Like, this age, just so you know, none of that's going to be there for you, but to somebody who's 72 who can't just like, hey, I'm going to go get a job now, because I wasn't able to work before, but now I'm forced to crawl into a job to make money, just to eat. Yeah. So I don't want to be that person who's like, we're just going to end it.
That reminds me of that voting thing again. Like if I vote, or if I do vote or want to vote, I think for me to vote for another presidential candidate it's going to have to be somebody who's just going to come out and say, hey, I'm going to auction it all off to the highest bidder. Every department, every service. Oh,
there you go. Yeah.
Everything.
Oh, I like that idea.
I would love to see and just a peaceful handover. Like, okay, everybody voted for anarchy, so we're gonna have anarchy now. We finally listening. Like, that's ever gonna happen. But they'll just be like, okay, here's who wants to take whatever we actually need. And now that I think about it, there's not a lot of departments
that we need.
But I mean, on local level, okay, this public school, we're going to keep it a school, but who wants to run this now? Because we're shutting doors down on the government.
Yeah.
But yeah, something like that, where it is a transition from public to private. And I think even welfare and stuff like that, there's money to be made in it. People, once you're not getting your 30-year paycheck taken away and then some afterwards, you're going to have a little extra money. And I think people will be philanthropic with it and donate. And so you just set yourself up as the best welfare system that's going to help the people the most. And obviously you need to get an income off of that. So you can pay yourself, but you also run a more efficient.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be run by the state. That's what everyone thinks, that it has to be run by, the government.
Yeah. I'd love to privatize welfare.
It would run more efficiently if it was, that's for sure.
There's John brings up that it wouldn't collapse overnight, even if Andrew Yang's policies did lead to the collapse. And he's right. And I think that's part of the problem with collapsitarianism, is it would be a slow, painful death. And it would just prolong the suffering of a lot. You just put it out of its misery at that point. But, and he's, again, completely right. Fiat currency can be inflated to extremes before the bottom falls out of it, which is part of the problem and why we have such a huge debt right now. And it's not those. I mean, those are like true points, but they don't necessarily counter anything. It's like, oh, yes, that just makes it worse. Like, we can prolong the suffering before everything is finally done. So
I think the death throes of the beast that is government would be pretty scary when it's finally backed into a corner and it's dying. I think it's going to take a lot of people with it. Even a beautiful democracy like our country, suddenly they're going to start biting back a little bit. You know what I mean?
Some FEMA camps and
stuff like that.
Real military police state. And yeah, I mean, those are all likely outcomes from the death throes of the world's former largest power, and if you think other people wouldn't be trying to take a bite out of, especially our holdings overseas, that's a full statement too,
Yeah.
Like external actions coming into here.
Yeah. Not even so much like an invasion. I don't really think that's something that even they would be considered, but just, geopolitical action outside of the US, once it starts to really cripple itself from all of this, will be very evident. And it, China and Russia are already making moves to prop themselves up as one of the future, we're talking decades ahead of the time, but
to fill that power vacuum that will leave.
Yeah, because we're already falling behind the curve. We are not the mega ultra peak of pinnacle of the country that we were in the 60s and 70s, maybe even the 80s, arguably. But, we just we were one of the only places on earth that could just point at a map and we could go and just do whatever we wanted there. And there really wasn't anything anybody could say about it unless you were like a Viet Cong. So that's about it,
Unless you're a rice farmer with an AK.
Yeah. So they were extremely effective. So that's why we try to stay away from jungles now. We don't have a lot of good memories about that, but
it gets ugly in there.
It's a sore spot. So
it's hard to see from the drones.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice open deserts are cool. You can see those trucks way out there.
Right.
And again, just so that everything that John says is appropriately, put out to light. He says one of Andrew Yang's quotes is "bureaucracy is the enemy," which is a great quote. I don't buy it for a second, honestly. I don't really. Donald Trump also said that he wanted to give everyone who made less than $50,000 no income tax. So that didn't happen. There's a lot of things that people say on the presidential trail. So all I can really say is what the implementation of the policies that are the most receptive from them are. And, you can say bureaucracy is the enemy, but until he really puts out a plan of like, okay, how are we going to reduce bureaucracy, Andrew Yang? Like, oh, well, trim the fat. And I was like, I've heard this one before.
Yeah, all this stuff, and that's another thing. Like maybe his policies would bring it all crashing down eventually, not even in a crazy way. But how many elected officials actually get into office, even with a good heart, actually get done what they wanted to get done? So we'll get a watered down version in the direction of where he wants to go, and what's that going to lead to? Just more state
Yang care. Yeah. That's what it'll be. We can. Yang care.
It's like with some like even a Ron Paul getting in there, like he could be dangerous because he's like, I'm just gonna, my first executive order is just gonna be to cancel all executive orders or something like that. So you can do that, but for the most part, you can't. It's really hard. It's not as much. It's more power than it should be, but it's not as much as you think it is to be president. You know what I mean? It's like you can come out there loud and bold, but you got to get it through Congress, you got to get it through Senate, and how.
If you got rid of executive orders, I mean. All the president has at that point is the CIA, FBI, and the DOJ. That's really it. That's his only strong arm they have left. And unless you're going to start suiciding political opposition, I mean, you can't really do much with that. So
he shot himself in the back 12 times.
12 times.
Julian Assange, circa July 2019. What?
Oh man. So we did watch that video today. You mentioned it yesterday.
I didn't get through it because we were at the fire and I didn't know. But I watched the beginning when they're stuffing him into the van.
That's sad.
Yeah.
That's
so guy. There's a I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but there was basically a dump of what we believe to be almost everything that WikiLeaks has. And it was.
Did it happen?
It did happen. It wasn't huge. There wasn't anything like massively. I mean, there was just pretty much more of the same in there. There was a lot of older stuff with some newer things as well in the dump that happened. And
so I knew they were talking about that.
There was a lot, so it's still being sifted through. Obviously, I have not even had close to enough time to go through it and figure out what's new, what's old, blah, blah, blah. I also haven't read all of it to begin with, so that's hard enough as it is. Oh, no, I ruined everything. Okay, there it goes. It's back. I hate when I do that.
Dave has those moments.
I just tap the keyboard and everything's like, we're going to change it now. So
Yeah.
You want to change your aspect ratio? There goes everything.
Yeah.
And, it was kind of crazy. I was doing some reading up on it. And, I don't know if you noticed or not, but he was like clutching a book whenever he was taken out of there. And I don't remember the title of it. But apparently that title of that book was a key to a cipher that was given to everybody else. And that was how they decrypted the information to get access to all the documents to leak them.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's fucking rad.
Exactly. Right. So, I mean, on top of everything else that was happening in that situation, and
that cloak and dagger shit. That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a good reason to suspect there's more. I mean, he's said in the past that if something like this were to happen and go south, that it wouldn't be good for anybody. And I think he kind of meant that. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So this might be phase one.
Phase one. Yeah, exactly. This is just wave one, potentially.
Right. Go ahead. Give him an interview. let him talk.
Yeah. Exactly. Right. You just get
say some words on the open air.
Oh man,
that'd be great.
So what's y'all's opinion on this? I mean, I'm pretty sure you have the same opinion as most of us, but what are your thoughts on Assange?
Hey, if they ain't doing nothing wrong, they don't have anything to hide. They shouldn't be worried about us seeing what they're saying behind closed doors.
Yeah, they need to take their own advice and say, if you're not doing anything wrong, then why are you worried about it being out there? I love that a lot of people we talk to say, and I love it, they call me hero. And I think you did too yesterday when we were talking. It is, you are a hero to stand up to your government and say, this is wrong. What you're doing, we know. And it's sad just to see the average American just sitting back like, well, what's on TV? Let me watch American Idol or something.
It's like, do you realize what's happening? The precedence that's being set.
Yeah. But that's, to me, that's what a hero is, someone who's going out there and really putting themselves, their whole entire life.
Knowing that most ordinary citizens ain't going to give two flips.
Right. That most of Americans are just going to, whatever, or call him a traitor, or not listen at all. It's sad.
Well, the media's done a fantastic job of making him out to be a villain, too. I mean, they've done a great job.
Glad I don't watch that.
Yeah.
It's hard.
All I see is good things.
Stuff. Yeah, it's really hard. I can't take it in and process it. I don't like their negativity, their spin on things.
And as much as I've knocked on Manning before all of this, something I didn't know why they were put back in a prison, or she or he, whatever you want to. She, we'll say she for the sake of being respectful.
Okay.
She was put back in prison because of she refused to testify about WikiLeaks, because she had let slip during her hearing that Julian Assange and WikiLeaks had attempted to help her crack the intel information that ended up getting leaked. And that was pretty much the nail in the coffin for Julian Assange. And I don't think that was her intention by any means. I think she was just trying to be honest and avoid a perjury charge, and didn't think it would mean anything because they weren't directly involved. But that is literally the entire case that has been built up around Assange, is that they have on the docket them saying that they attempted to facilitate the cracking of a U.S. intelligence network. And, her refusal to testify against WikiLeaks again after making that mistake, I think says a lot about their character. It did land them in prison again. I think that's important. But, it's either lie and face perjury charges for going back on your statement, or prior perjury charges for having to try to redact that statement.
Right.
Or end up in prison again. And
they're back in prison.
Wow.
I think it's technically confinement. I don't know if they're in like a prison, but they're not free by any means. They're in a cage. So
that's so sad. I mean,
yeah, I never hear as much positive stuff about Chelsea,
yeah,
as I do about the other two.
Snowden.
Yes, Snowden. Yeah, those two are always like held up pretty high from just my what I get from the communities and stuff like that, and Manning's just kind of like,
There's a lot.
There's like really cool at first, and then the more you heard about it, it was like, it doesn't seem like they helped as much.
Especially throwing Assange under the bus was kind of
see, I missed a lot of that.
It was a big mistake. Well, that happened a long time ago, and that was
mistake. That's
I don't think it was intentional. None of the actions.
I hope it wasn't.
None of the actions since then, or if nothing else, it was a regret. I mean, honestly, I don't know what I would have done if I had done something like that and was trying to avoid as many charges as possible. Maybe I would have told the truth to try to avoid perjury charges. But again, I don't think she was saying that I'm going to burn Julian Assange alive for me getting caught. I don't think none of the actions now have shown that was an intention. So, just to be completely fair, because I have talked a little bit of smack about Manning in the past, and I especially when I used to be a really big statist when all of that happened. this person's a traitor. Now, obviously, I hold a completely different opinion now,
Mhm.
but especially back
Yeah.
then, I was very, very passionate about my feelings about leaking intelligence information. And it's funny, too, because the media really spun it, the whole leaking, as it was like, oh, they compromised, however many military units. And it's, most of this stuff is like details that either don't matter or just make the military look bad. It's not like they're releasing like, oh, hey, we're going after bin Laden tomorrow. Like that's not the kind of stuff that was.
I know they're acting like it's that kind of stuff.
Troop movements,
danger.
Troop movements were the only thing that were leaked that is like actually, I can understand that there's like a security risk there. Is like, okay, we're going to be moving these people from here to like terrorists gets their hands on that. And then
they do the roadside bombs and stuff.
Yeah. So I can understand that from the perspective.
But honestly, what are you doing there? Get the hell out of there.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't be moving there.
It should say we're going home.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you can keep that one hush hush.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, tomorrow we're shipping everybody home.
Yeah.
Don't tell anyone. Be fine with that. You can have that secret.
That'd be cool.
Oh man. Yeah. I mean, trust me, you don't have to tell me. I mean, we definitely need to get out of there. But someone brought this up in the ANCAP group that we have that, what do you think about a defensive force and is it necessary? And I had to make the very transitarian answer that I don't like, that a defensive force makes sense for now. I can accept that. But it does not need to be anywhere near the size that it is. Not even remotely close to the size that it is at this moment.
No. I think it should be broken down. Like the militias. Put them all in a group chat. That way they can coordinate if they have to. They're gonna have a little Facebook group chat, and they can be like, "Hey, it's getting weird over here. You guys want to help out?" And like, yeah, you're the state next to mine. I don't want you falling. Other than that, I think just that the standing army thing is just dangerous because that's just a hammer walking around looking for a nail.
Yeah. Militaries get complacent. When they don't have anything to shoot at, they get complacent. And
it's like I've been shooting at these barrels all day and it's getting boring.
Yeah.
We're so trained.
Yes.
That was we can thank really Vietnam for why we have the philosophy of military that we had now. Because after World War II, the military was just kind of something you did, and you just kind of hung out. We weren't really
waiting for something to happen.
Yeah, I mean, we went to Germany. And we were waiting for that to pop off, but we weren't really engaged in conflicts to a larger scale. Besides the CIA and its involvement in Afghanistan, which started the whole mess that we have now. So.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to know where the Taliban came from, if you didn't know this yet, somehow it's from us. We put them in power.
We trained them and made them to fight the Soviets, right?
Yep, and Al Qaeda, and specifically Osama bin Laden as well. We propped him up into a position of power. One of my conspiracy theories is that the reason he lasted so long is because he was our guy on the inside until we were done with him. There's a lot of information to suggest that, which is something that's really
said you knocked down the towers.
Never thought about that.
They're like, hey, you're going to take the blame for this. You're our man on the inside, so we'll just let you run around for a few more decades. And then he was probably like, look, I'm dying anyways. I'm on dialysis. Let's just get this over with.
You guys want to do this or what?
You want to take the credit for this?
Moving my dialysis machine from cave to cave is very expensive. So
what a good dude. Don't quote me on that.
Right.
Real thoughtful guy. Okay.
Yeah, no.
Water.
Awkward silence.
No, because everyone's like, wait, did Dave just...
I was reading a comment for a second. I should have read it out loud. Sometimes I have to proofread these. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I have to be like, oh, this looks like no, it's just a troll comment. Let's keep on conversation,
Yeah.
Rusty says, now we do it for free education. And that's so true. I will gladly
take... Is it a Dodge Charger? Don't you get a Dodge Charger or something?
A V6 Mustang is also an acceptable answer. Yeah. It has to have an insert pedestrians here sticker on the bumper as well. So I've seen probably 20 of those in my time in the military. So
wow.
That's a car meme, by the way, for anyone who doesn't get that they seem to magically attract to crowds whenever they try to do burnouts or something. So it's those dang vaccines. They put lead in your blood, and then the magnets from the horns attract you to the cars. So.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, we've never talked about this.
Dying.
What is y'all's opinions on vaccines? What do you guys think? Are you vax? Are you anti-vax? What's up?
I'm kind of in between. I'm not anti, I'm not pro. I definitely don't think it should be forced on anybody.
Of course.
You know, and if you believe in vaccines, then let them die of measles, whatever. I also think that it was obviously a necessity when they're first starting them, like, hey, this is saving people's lives. Go ahead and get this vaccine. It'll keep you from getting this debilitating disease or whatever. But I think after a while, it just like anything else, it became a marketable item, and they're just trying to create more variety. Like, hey, we can vaccinate you against pimples or something,
Right.
And then you take your kid to the pediatrician, and they're like, oh, well, this is on your schedule. You got to take this one too. And I'm like, well, what do we need that one? Is that one necessary?
Or at least why all at one time? I mean, they tried to vaccinate our kids the day they were born. They came out and they wanted to give them like hepatitis C vaccine, and I'm like, this baby is like hours old. Are you kidding me?
Can you give him a minute?
Yeah, I'm like, can we do that another time?
Take a breather.
Let his skin thicken a little.
Yeah. They're like, oh yeah, you can do that at your first visit. I'm like, then that's when you should be doing it. You shouldn't be pushing this on people immediately, especially after having a child and you're all kinds of crazy because the mom, you're in that like, oh, my baby, but you're
terrified.
Not thinking right because you just had a baby.
That's the one thing I remember of the first baby coming out, and the second he came out, the first baby, it was terror. Like, oh my God, I got to keep this thing alive.
Right.
Like immediately, like there's the overwhelming love, and I can't believe this, and
it was like, oh,
don't die. I have no reason to believe that you're going to, but don't.
Yeah. But as far as vaccines go, I feel like I have, friends and family who have not vaccinated their children. And, I'm like, whatever. I feel like if you do, you want to do your research and stuff. And I mean, for me,
no, we haven't done enough research to have
I know that
real
I just
solid
haven't
opinion
done,
on it.
Yeah, enough of the research. And so, I mean, our kids are vaccinated. I think there's like one's like, oh, chickenpox. Like, really? We need to vaccinate our kids against chickenpox? Like, I feel like that's. I mean, I don't want to have to go through that with my kids, but that's like a rite of passage.
Well,
as being a child,
The real reason for the chickenpox vaccine is to prevent shingles later on in life.
Does that work like that?
Does that work? Okay.
You have to have chickenpox before you can get shingles. That's like that is a thing. It is a dormant because the chickenpox never leaves you. It just stays.
Right.
And
it just hangs out.
One of these days, it sets off and triggers again, and you get to shingles, which is not a fun
shit!
time.
I don't want shingles. I had chickenpox. I don't want shingles.
There's a good chance that you'll get it then.
Oh man.
Yeah, we also don't do flu shots.
Oh yeah, we don't do the flu shots.
I feel like I know enough about that it's like it's not really going to kill you, and we hardly ever get it. And if you do, you survive. But I hear that usually when you're getting that vaccine, it's old strains of the virus, and it's only like a certain percentage, and there's not a very good chance that the one that's actually coming through this year is the same as what's in that vaccine that you're getting anyways. And it's like, it just ain't worth it. It's like I feel like I ignorantly go into it, just kind of weighing my.
Yeah, well, you know what, and thank God we're healthy.
Mm-hmm.
We're healthy. We don't have any serious health issues. And we're young, and our kids are out of being infants.
It's a calculated risk, I think.
Like my dad gets the flu shot because he's older and he has heart conditions.
And the flu might kill him.
He gets the flu could kill him because of where he is. In his health. He gets the pneumonia one too. But I mean, man, I just remember people like telling me that I should get the whooping cough vaccine before I had my kids, like while I was still pregnant with them, because I could give them whooping cough, like if I don't know. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? Like, stop scaring the shit out of me.
And when I feel pressured like that, like I feel like I'm being marketed to, and then it makes me push back because, the libertarian in me, don't tell me what to do.
Oh yeah, Dave.
Why are you trying to scare me into this?
Don't even tell Dave what to do because he will just not. But like, I don't know, that Gardasil thing, like people talk about that. I don't know enough about it, but I think.
Yeah, we're just spouting ignorance. So if you really can't take our answers.
We're not there yet with our kids. So, but like Jay needs to get vaccinated for her 4th. She's 4. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah.
And we'll get the ones that they, we kind of look over them like, yeah, that sounds like old school shit that really messed up large populations. So we'll go ahead and get those.
Yeah.
But we'll question the ones that they actually kind of give you any kind of lenience on, like it's not absolutely necessary.
But I feel like if people are doing their research and they choose to not, that's a society that I want, is people being able to make their own decisions, I mean, and a parent is in charge of their kid, I suppose, because their children are still children, but I don't know. It's such a touchy subject for so many people.
Yeah, I'm going to be completely honest. It triggers a lot of people. I mean, that's the easiest way to put it. I feel like I take, someone who is, I would consider myself overall pro-vax, because there's a lot of information to suggest that vaccines are effective. They have been, they will continue to be. And, not to say that bad things don't happen. Trust me. You can get milk that is bad from the shelf and drink that and get explosive diarrhea, just like you can get a bad vaccine that, who knows, it could kill your kid, it could give you autism, perhaps. I don't know if those two are necessarily linked, but we could you could have a bad reaction, allergic reaction to something that's in there that you didn't realize, and those are all real risks. Just like going into any operation, there's a risk that you could not wake up, and
right.
There are certain cases where I feel like, things that aren't necessary, like you said, maybe it's not worth putting yourself in that risk. For stuff that can kill you without really any notice, like measles or something like that. Those are things that you have to really sit back and say, like, do I even want to risk the chance of me, getting this? And so, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that I hear, and I'm like, okay, I might get, let's say it's lead poisoning. At least I'm not dead, So
calculated risk,
calculated risk. Yeah. Holy, that is scary. Oh my gosh.
Just laughing at Rusty. Says you can get laid to get the flu vaccine. Oh. And then he just said paid, not laid. That's why I was trying to process his earlier comment. Like you can vaccinate yourself against the flu by you have sex with somebody who has the flu and you build the antibodies.
I will say there's one thing about the flu before I move on to some of the comments is that so there's usually, depending on how severe the flu is, if the first vaccine comes out, you're right. It is usually like they kind of guesstimate, they're like, okay, it's probably going to be this. We use an older strain that's similar. And, we're gonna do that and see how effective it is. If it's effective, they usually won't put out another one. But so look at, you guys remember swine flu, right? H1N1.
Yeah.
Swine flu, bird flu.
Yeah.
All these things that were going to kill us.
That was the same flu that caused the Spanish flu that damn near wiped out more people than, or did. It killed more people than World War I. And same exact thing, wow. H1N1. So
wow, yeah, that's serious.
Yeah. So I mean, there's and what happened for swine flu is that it was killing people. It killed a few thousand people. I think it almost reached 10,000 people in the U.S., maybe a little bit over it, which is a lot of people.
Yeah.
And
I remember hype, but when I hear hype, I'm just kind of like, but yeah, I didn't remember hearing that.
Wash your dang hands during cold and flu season. Extra wash your hands. Not like a psycho, but don't be afraid to wash your hands after you come home.
So they came out with that first round vaccine, which was kind of a guess, and they guessed wrong. I mean, for some people it was enough. It was enough of a boost, or they already, genetically had an H1N1 tolerance thanks to some family genetics. But you also have, they came out with the second round that was specifically tailored to the brand of flu that was existing. So there are reactions to like, okay, this is not working. Let's do this one instead.
So, okay.
There is some science behind it. It's not all just throwing,
yeah.
Well, that's why you'll never see me comment on a pro anti-vax post on Facebook because I know I'm ignorant, and so I'll just kind of continue doing what I'm doing. I'll glean information that I'm reading off the internet because I know if I decided to take one position or the other, I'm going to find something to support that argument. I'm sure I'll find plenty of stuff, So I'm always just kind of like, it's like every calculated risk. I don't think that's going to kill me, and I'm not going to overdo it. I'm not going to take everything that they tell me to take, but I know that some of it is for a damn good reason, and I'm going to go ahead and keep doing that. But
yeah, and I also feel, and I think Dave feels the same way about, if it wasn't the government running it, there
I'd
might
be a
little,
more.
I'd be like a little more.
If it wasn't FDA approved, it would actually help me.
If it was like a private companies, that were able to say this is what we offer in our vaccines, and we don't have the added XYZ that you don't want to get from this other company.
And you don't have the government protection.
Yeah, and you can choose
litigation.
Yeah, and people say like, oh, this is a good company, this is why we go with them, and then you choose who you want to go with based on reputation, and word of mouth and reviews and all the stuff that reasons.
I like this company. All
reasons why we choose things that we choose, and we're deciding who's going to go. Do our roof, okay, this person has great reviews. Our neighbor, we really looked into it. We didn't want to just be like, hey, we're going to shell out $5,000 for somebody to come in and do a crap job, and then we have to get it done again in 2 years. Not that roofs and vaccines are the same thing, but having that option, I think it would mean so much more. I mean, for us to get the government's hands out of everything, just let the people.
Oh, yeah. I always joke, that I hold this perspective because I've basically had every vaccine and I have autism. That's why I'm a libertarian. So, I've had it all. And this is totally anecdotal, but I'll get into my 3 points in a second that I always make. I've had measles, mumps, HPV. I voluntarily got the HPV vaccine. I don't want to give somebody that. That sounds awful. God knows, whatever. But,
yeah,
I've had anthrax. I've had the cowpox, which is supposed to protect against smallpox, yellow fever. My immunization sheet is like 30 things long. Hepatitis C, all of it. And I'm not dead. Okay, so obviously that's anecdotal and not scientific or empirical evidence. So the three things I always go
visibly
to,
autistic.
Yeah, exactly. One is do your shots incrementally. Make sure that they're under proper supervision whenever shots are administered, and that it's done as safely and as well recorded as possible so that you can do your best to get accountability if something does go wrong. 2.
That's every Friday night for us.
Yeah.
It's all recorded.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Make sure that you do your research and that nobody has an allergic reaction to anything that goes through your body, which a lot of these things can be avoided just by simply making sure you know what's inside of them. And 3rd, don't spread misinformation. That's all I ask.
Yeah.
You do those 3 things and we'll be completely fine. You start telling me that you can use, quartz crystals on your temples to get rid of your measles, and we're going to have a problem. So
I got these essential oils, man.
Oh, God.
I do. Those things have their place. I mean, not the crystals. I don't know about those, but essential oils, I like them, but it's not. I'm in no way would I try to treat, any kind of severe disease with that kind of stuff. Oils. Yeah.
Did you?
But I use lavender. It helps me relax.
I do know that weed cures cancer. I know that much. But
did you see that picture of the lady that tried to fix her gangrene with essential oils? It was a lemon and tea tree, I think, or something like that. And
oh boy,
it ate away. It ate away at her foot until the bone was exposed.
Oh my god!
Before she finally went
at some
to the
point,
hospital.
I'm going to need a second opinion on this one.
Yeah. So
because she kept putting it on and then it wasn't doing anything, and she let it get that far.
It got necrotic, and she got a bacterial infection that was literally eating away at her flesh. And so, and it was to the point that when she got there, they had to amputate. So it could have been stopped way before that. But because of the spread of misinformation and people being completely dumb.
That's why I just keep my mouth shut.
I just, the second a chunk of my heel falls off, I think I'm going to go and go to the doctor, way before that. But, good call. Once the bone was showing, I think, there was probably a smart move.
Let's try out this newfangled medicine.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
her chakras weren't aligned enough.
Oh shit. The chakras.
Totally out of whack.
When I feel like they have their place for things, for certain things, I mean, little, not like life and death kind of things, like I like to use tea tree oil for cleaning, and I mean, I do use lavender and flax, but I don't think you can cure cancer with, an essential oil. I mean, it would be amazing if you could. That would be
and you never
great.
know.
You never know. I mean,
and it's kind of nice to have these people out there on the cutting edge of trying essential oils to see what actually happens.
Yeah.
I'll let
you
them
take
be
it
the
to
guinea
the point
pigs.
where the bone's showing. Yeah. Like maybe you have to get to the point of bone showing, and then suddenly that's when the essential oils really do kick in.
Yeah.
Oh, it has to get
We're not
inside
gonna
the
know
marrow.
Yeah, and we're not going to know until somebody is brave enough to take it that far.
Yeah.
What a hero. What a true
So
hero.
brave. So brave.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah.
I gotta get that oil. I'll be right back. I got to get my essential oil.
What
you're
oil?
fine.
Oh, you're getting oil, Dave?
My nicotine.
The nicotine.
I'm just going to go through the comments, some of the comments real quick.
Yeah.
Jacob
definitely.
asks, well, we'll get back to this one, Jacob, because I think there's a discussion there. So we got a lot of Man Bear Pig comments. That's always good. Some FDA approved Man Bear Pig. That's always fantastic. FDA is the reason drugs cost so much. Yeah, you're completely right.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got some jokes about crystals and some autisms and good stuff like that.
And like quick words.
Yeah, this one's good. I'll read this one out. The crystals work really good for keeping negative people out of your life. You just got to throw them really hard. That's good.
Yes.
That's a good one. The one that I really wanted to get to was from Jacob, and he asks, "Aren't you in Japan?" No, I'm right across the sea. I'm in Korea. And
There's a lot of Asians out there.
Yeah. Do you ever talk to them about libertarianism? In fact, there's mostly Asians, believe it or not. I don't know if, but
I'd love to experience that because I'm like a big dude. Like,
yeah, going in the.
I'd be a giant there.
You would be a giant.
I'm usually one of the tallest people in the crowd at Seoul. Like it's kind of weird being able to see the tops of everyone's heads. But
Oh my god.
because I'm 6'3", so I mean, I just
Oh, are you?
Yeah, we're in the same boat.
Okay, Dave's 6'4". Yep.
and yeah, he asked, do I ever talk to them about libertarianism? And it's a great way to end a date quickly. I learned that one.
Gosh.
So how do you feel about politics? It's like, oh, I'm a libertarian, and they have no idea what that means. So you have to explain it, and they're all massive statists here.
I was going to say, is that a foreign thought to them? Just a
Oh yeah, like we call Americans statists. Koreans are like,
we haven't really met status.
oh, because they're right next to that other Korean.
yeah. Well, they're not.
They're
that
kind of that's kind of super status.
but they get to compare themselves to that, and then they say, "Well, we're not that bad. Look, we only
We're
like."
doing
Yeah.
pretty good.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
being gay
We're not
should
that
be a
bad.
crime. You know,
Oh my god.
it's
You don't have to kill
Oh my
them, but
gosh.
definitely can't just have them running around.
you can't get
Weird people think
tattoos.
that.
You have to go to a doctor to get tattoos here.
Wow, really?
We're talking about status stuff on that level. Like
That's very
you guys like to
conservative.
vape? Their vape juices are like they have to go through. Obviously, they have to be approved by all of their stuff as well, and they get their own fancy little Korean label, and they get a big tax on them, which makes them really expensive. So this little guy is like
Oh my
$40. So I had to buy this one out of like an emergency because my shipment was getting delayed. This is a little 30 mil guy, and this sticker basically says like, if this will kill you, don't take it. Call this number, and we'll pay for you to get nicotine supplements so that you can get off smoking. They're big statists.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but would I pay like 27 for 100? That's
we
local.
We finally got to where the Pennsylvania has said that, and I think it's just the state says that they have to sell it.
I don't
and
know.
It's crap.
They ruined our bottles. Like they have these new,
wrecked them,
and they're like the whole thing is like a top, and it's got one little
It's awful.
thing on there.
They're terrible,
and it leaks
just
all over the
wastes
place.
liquid all over, and that's why they're doing it.
No, because they ruin everything. It's not even by
State
design.
has- Yeah.
So I actually said, "Hey, do you have any of those old bottles?" And I bought this one off of them because I'm going to take it out of that bottle and put it into this old bottle because it's so much easier to operate.
Yeah.
Thanks,
state.
government.
Yeah. Thanks, government.
Government making the things so much easier, right?
Oh yeah, they're looking out for us. That's what it is.
It's like they just want to have us have like one flavor. Like you can have ass flavored vape juice. That way the kids won't want to get started.
Right.
Yeah, there's a really big commie movement in Korea, and they're not like real commies. They're the commie lights like we have, but 'cause communism's a bad word here too because they don't like China. So you say communism,
Oh,
they're like,
okay.
no, that's like China. We don't like China. So, but
Well, you just don't like the word.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But then they're like, but we should have all this free stuff. So, it's, well, not communism because that's China.
Yeah.
But we should.
You
Everything
keep
should be
saying that
free.
word. I don't think
Exactly.
it means what you think it means.
Right.
It's man, it's a fiasco. I'm not gonna lie. Politically, South Korea is just like a wreck. There's so much corruption here too. Because they have this culture of like you're not supposed to question authority here. Like that is how they
Yeah.
are raised. Like the state is your god, not just like Skycloth.
Wow.
Like these people know better than you. Don't question them. If you want to question them, you better get your college degree and you better get into politics, and then you can question them, and then you'll
You
probably
go be one of them.
Get your proper licensing.
yeah. You got to be
That's crazy.
yeah, you got to, and you better be older than them too, because otherwise it'll be disrespectful if you challenge them because you're younger.
Oh,
than them.
that's
So
yes. Respect the elders.
yeah.
That's exciting.
Oh,
Wow.
it's a little backwards. I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of regressiveness in Korean culture. Not that I don't love a lot of things about this place, but like I could
Sure.
never live here.
Right.
Could never live here.
Never.
No. Mm-mm. There's so many nuances to the culture here. I would not fit. I wouldn't work.
I never thought of. I mean, people always say to me like, "Oh, you're lucky to be born in America, and you should feel lucky," and blah. And I'm like, okay, whatever.
And we're trying to keep it that way.
Yeah, but yeah, I never think about like other countries and how they, we have our Skycloth and how, what are they allowed or not allowed to do? And questioning. I mean, we get looked at funny for questioning things, but I mean, I don't know.
You don't get thrown in jail for it.
Yeah, usually.
Have I talked to you guys about? So when I went to Turkey, if you even talk about the Armenian genocide there, it's like an immediate prison sentence. Like immediately.
Get out of here.
They still throw gay people
Wow.
off of buildings there. I mean, like, it's
Do they really?
yes. There was
Awful.
there was like a
That's terrible.
a trans rights basically march that was happening there, which they don't have the right to protest to begin with, and it turned basically into a big street beating where a bunch of people beat up cross-dressers for trying to beat the gay out of them, I guess. And
Oh my goodness.
Beat the gay away.
and
Beat the gay away.
I just, like-
That's terrible.
as much as I talk a lot of crap about the U.S., I will accept the fact that, there are very few places on planet Earth that I could actually live in, and I would much rather be in the U.S. than most of them. I'd say 90% of them. Even
Yeah.
now.
That's the thing. We're an anomaly in time and space for this world, and we're just fighting tooth and nail to maintain that. Like the whole history has been subjugation, and there's nothing keeping our whole future from being it.
Yeah.
Some reason we got a little bit of freedom here, and people are like, well, isn't it nice? I'm like, yeah, that's why we're trying to keep it.
I
That's
don't
why we're
wanna
fighting back against all these
give it all
encroachments
away.
that keep
Yeah.
eroding
Yeah.
piece by piece.
There's, I for a time I was so done with the U.S. and this was not honestly that long ago that I was like, why don't I just go somewhere else? What if there is somewhere that's more my style and I just go there? And
Yeah.
so, I would like go on Google and be like top 10 capitalist countries, and all these places
Yeah,
would
see
come up.
what's out there.
Yeah, like Singapore and Hong Kong. These places are status as fuck too, even more than we are.
Right.
Like, the car taxes in Singapore and Hong Kong alone, like triple the price of a vehicle. And I'm like, this is not like, okay, sure, they have low income taxes. Oh, that's great. That's only part of the problem,
Yeah.
There's a lot more to that equation, buddy.
Wasn't the guy who got caned
Singapore.
Wasn't he
I think
from
it was
here? From
Evil
like
or something,
Gerard
yeah.
or something like that. I remember when I was younger, there was a kid who went to Singapore from our area.
He spray paint something, or
Oh, I thought he just dropped gum on the ground, but
I think
it
he
could have
did
been
something.
He
but
did,
yeah.
he did something ballsy that he shouldn't have done. I
And
mean,
they caned
but
him.
they caned him. Like
It was a
Like
big
they
story
made
at the time.
yeah,
Yeah, with
Oh,
a cane.
yeah. They whipped him real good. So
Whipped him real good.
real good.
Yeah.
But wow, I mean, that's just like, okay. I mean, but still, okay. So yeah, he should not have obviously broken the law or whatever. But yikes,
Mhm.
we're gonna cane you for the. Oh boy, Yeah, and I've heard somewhere you're not even like allowed to really chew gum around because they don't want gum on the ground. So
It's like
these people,
all sorts of crazy stuff like that, like smoking
It's
in
weird.
public areas and blah. You don't really have that problem in Korea because like half the population here still smokes, which is pretty crazy to think about.
Yeah.
But
they do smoke.
Yeah.
They still smoke.
a lot of them.
Cigs, like regular cigarettes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and vapes too, but mostly cigarettes still.
Yeah.
And I think it's mostly because it's so prohibitively expensive to get, vape products.
Alternatives.
You either have to get them from the U.S. basically or China, which we'll skip on
They
that.
don't want to do.
Not that China death liquid.
Yeah, exactly. And so yeah, that's and they tax the crap out of it, so it's cheaper to smoke cigarettes here. It really is.
Oh yeah.
You can get a carton for almost the same price as in the U.S. So.
Oh really?
Yeah. Why would you vape when you can save all that money on cigarettes, but die of lung cancer?
Man.
So,
Sure. Yeah. Exactly.
Gotta weigh your choices.
Yeah.
It's a and then people say, well, why don't you go somewhere else? And I can't. There is nowhere else to go. It's either go to Somalia and become like a warlord and try to make my own country out of Somalia, or fix this place.
Yeah.
Or go to Venezuela and try to start a government there after Venezuela collapses. So.
Yeah.
Right.
One's a bit of a fixer-upper, but
it's
open. It is on the market.
Fixer-upper.
Pretty much. It's like what it is. Like buying an old dingy house that hasn't been lived in.
Or lived in a little too hard.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like a frat used to own it, and they just wrecked the place.
It's a great location.
Right.
It's got a lot of history.
But you're gonna want to tear out all the carpets and paint the walls and.
It's rough. I can be really negative, especially when I start talking about things like cops and taxes and pretty much everything. But
yeah, well,
I can't.
It's understandable,
One problem Korea doesn't
passionate
have
about it.
Korea doesn't have a problem of cops shooting all of their dogs and their people, so I will say they got that plus.
That's a plus. That's an upside.
So what's law enforcement like there? What's it like to interact with them?
I don't really interact with law enforcement much, honestly, because I think also because I'm a foreigner too, they just kind of don't. There's some weird stuff going on there with like how the legal proceedings work, and because I'm most likely military, they have to turn me over to the military, so they can't really do.
Okay.
Okay.
There's like a whole bunch of stuff there, but I mean, I watched a video of a military guy being a jackass and getting roundhouse kicked in the face by a cop. So, I think that's a much better, he swung at the cop and the cop literally did this like taekwondo back kick into his face. Yeah. So I think it's a much better response than like, oh, he swung at me, I have to unload my entire magazine. Like we all do. Everybody pull your guns out.
Where the first level is getting tased, and sometimes they'll skip that.
Yeah.
Go straight to level 2. Stomp the clip.
So sometimes you just have to pop someone in the face so that they know what's up, and then and they never go anywhere alone. They always have someone with them. They are always traveling in at least a pair, which I think makes sense, so that you can have your taser, and then the other guy can kick him in the face, and if that doesn't work, you can tase him. You can kind of take shifts.
Hey, you got level 1 and 2 set up right there.
Exactly.
That's very nice.
So that you don't have to worry about going straight to level 3 because you're alone and you're scared and you don't have anybody to help you. And,
right.
I can understand people make bad judgment calls in situations like that,
Yeah.
Because
they're
there are situations when gun owners, civilians, use their weapon when they probably didn't have to,
Yeah.
And
but they were afraid.
Exactly. I think it's important to make the most appropriate reaction. And if your life is in danger, you obviously should defend it. But, there are times when it's like, probably went a little too far there.
and no, I do disagree with the whole having the police state that we have. That is the job that they have chosen. They know that their lives are on the line every day.
Hopefully you're good at it.
But
psychologically,
you need to be of sound mind to do that job. Like I don't know how.
If you're scared, you shouldn't be doing that job.
You should not be doing that job, and you should have to go through some extra training just to get your adrenaline pumping to where you feel like you might die, and then just work on that muscle reaction. That muscle memory. So that you're not just like, hey, I'm gonna
reach for my gun.
I'm going to reach for my gun first thing. And I know people say like, oh, but they're out there and people are going to be shooting at them and all that stuff like that. But the same goes for how we as citizens feel that any one of them could just haul off at any moment.
Feel threatened for their lives.
Feel threatened, lose their shit, whatever. And do a thing.
Did a thing.
Another thing I like before, I kind of wanted to say something else, but I will say this since Court here said there's, a lot of the reason people suck so much is because you're not allowed to punch somebody in the face when they're being shitty. Yeah. So one thing that they do here is if there's like a brawl or something, they let them beat the crap out of each other. And then they do what they have to do.
They sort it out afterwards.
Nice.
It's like a hockey fight. Yeah.
Exactly. You just let them tire themselves out, and then the problem takes care of itself.
It's a lot easier for me.
Right. You guys, go ahead and finish it off. Then you go in your little penalty box.
No, I'm of the opinion that two consenting adults should be able to duke it out. As long as somebody's not trying to kill anybody over an unnecessary, if you're like, hey, you're being an asshole and you want to fight and you guys fight each other, I mean, whatever.
Yeah, drop the contract.
Like, hey,
let's go.
You want to fight? Yes, I want to fight. Then fight. That's two adults.
Why do we have to televise it and have it on pay-per-view for two consenting adults to beat the crap out of each other?
Right.
Jacob says, what if one dies? Well, then obviously I'm assuming they violated the NAP. I mean, we'd have to look at that, but...
Yeah.
We're going to have to look at the contract.
Yeah.
Is there a stipulation for that?
Exactly. Yeah. Is this a death match? Like, what's going on here? You're going to make sure these rules.
Did you waive your rights? I could possibly die.
Because at that point, contract law takes into effect and the NAP doesn't matter anymore. So.
Right.
Yeah, you agreed to it.
You signed the paper. But it would be nice to just be able to, that they could just punch someone in the face and just be like, quit being a dick. Not one of,
my dad calls it hitting the reset button,
There you go.
When someone's acting like a jerk.
Yeah, I was out of line there. I apologize. That hurt.
Yes.
A lot of people don't want to fight once they get hit in the face. Everybody wants to fight until they get hit in the face, and then a lot of people don't want to fight anymore.
When you get hit in the nose, it makes that gross. Sound, and it hurts. It really
your eyes
hurts.
Water. You start crying, and they go, "What are you crying for?" I'm not crying.
You can't help it. Yep. Yeah. So that's what they should do if we are going to continue to have the police.
John says mutual combat is still legal in Seattle.
They should be allowed to just punch people. Oh, it's still legal in Seattle. Oh, that's good to know.
I didn't know that. I can go punch some commies in Seattle. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, I think you have to be carrying that contract. A pocket full of blank contracts. You're like, look, dude, can you sign here?
Name, print your name, initial, date, sign here.
And here.
Have those little tabs with the arrows, that you put on.
Because there's going to be a lot of bureaucracy even with that 6-page contract.
Yeah. 6-page contract, right.
Jacob says, what if both die? Well, in Ancapistan, they're both
problem
dead,
solved itself.
So, yeah, you want to start a Hatfield and McCoy thing, whatever. You guys do you, I guess. Yeah. But, if they're both dead, it's like who's going to seek reparations for getting beaten if they're both dead?
They kind of even each other out.
Yeah,
it's a fair trade, right. I think.
Yeah,
like as long as it was mutual to begin with.
As long as this was a mutual fight, yes.
you both lose. Congratulations. Yeah.
Exactly.
I do want to preface all of this by saying that not for.
But for sure.
I'm one of the few people who can watch a video of someone, pulling over for a traffic stop, or shit, and then having, a 44 Magnum thrown at their face and bullets start flying. And that is always a threat. And I can legitimately empathize with that because I think that, especially if you are a person who believes whether how right you are or not, that you're doing the right thing and you're trying to be a good person, trying to be the best you can, which they do exist, even though they may not be the best at it. It sucks that we live in a world where people are going to do stuff like that. But at the same time, I don't empathize with cops that get shot or breaking into an innocent person's house in a no-knock warrant. I have no sympathy for that.
Oh,
so
right.
I think there is a distinction to be made that I don't always have sympathy, but sometimes I do. sometimes it's like, okay, well, your tail light was out. Let me pull you over. And then like next thing you know, a 44 Magnum comes at you. It's like, okay, like neither of these parties are in the right. Let's just get that out of the way right now, you know?
Right.
So
I see where you're coming from with that. I mean, I do. It's I don't love any of the laws that they are trying to uphold and whatever, but they're doing that thing and they're just you get a gun pointed in your face. I mean, that would be.
I think it's a little pity too,
underwear.
because you want to talk about indoctrinated. Like once you're in the force, like you are super heavily indoctrinated.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, that's your team now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Especially.
yeah. You got to watch out for your boys
and you know, I think the odds of reversing that kind of brainwashing are slim to none. To be completely honest and transparent with you, so you know, it's just it's.
But it does. It does seem to happen a lot in the military where people have that awakening. Like there's a lot of libertarian vets, you know what I mean? Unless, well, I guess to say a lot, because there's a lot of vets. So there are quite a few, but I don't know if if that percentage is the same, of saying there's a lot of vets that said, what the hell was I doing here? You know?
There is a little bit of a difference, I will say, too, is that, you know, you really feel a detachment whenever you're overseas bombing brown people who could possibly, maybe, potentially be. I mean, he's an adult male. He's probably a terrorist, right? So, you know, you get into those kind of situations.
It's a signature.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's got the beard. It's definitely him. You know, and it's.
But wait a minute.
Yeah, exactly.
Pull up the beard.
Exactly, right. It's man, you know, it's that old. It's really hard to justify that, and then you're like, okay, what are we actually fighting for? And it's like, well, freedom. And you're like, okay, no, but really, it's like, well, the Kurds need oil so that they don't get run over by the Syrians who are with the Russians, and we're really here so that the Russians don't push too far into the Middle East and get influence. And you're like, wait, where's the freedom here? And it's like, well, if Russia gets geopolitical power in the Middle East, then you have to worry about China moving in to no. Stop. You know, it's like, how many steps are, like, what kind of 9D chess do you think is actually happening here? Because, like, I don't want any part of this, you know?
One of the steps is just question marks and then freedom.
Equals freedom, right? So,
yeah.
It's you know.
Oh, it's just that one step that's classified.
Yeah.
That one step that's classified.
You got to have like a PhD in calculus just to be able to set the equation up to begin with. You know, Stephen Hawking is working on it for his entire life.
And then following it. Yeah.
I don't know. It feels kind of this logic feels kind of forced. It's like you're setting up the problem to get to your answer.
Yeah.
It's and you know, I think it's a lot easier for a cop to tell themselves like, well, this is the law, and you know, we're a country of laws. That's really the only justification that they need.
I'm in my community, helping my community.
Yeah.
I'm keeping people safe. I can
see that being a lot easier. Right here in my own hometown.
It's harder to say that when you're, you know, 2,000
in Afghanistan,
3,000 miles away.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm keeping people safe in Michigan here in Kabul.
I am in Libya because I guess Gaddafi did something. So someone, you know, he's probably a bad guy. You know, it's just
guess he'll die.
It's a. We got to my cousin's house today, and there were 2 police officers there when we
in their yard.
When we got there.
That's funny because like I must always have it on because I pulled up and I see like 4 houses up. And they're kind of unmarked, you know, they're the SUVs, but they didn't have the lights and the writing on them.
Right.
But they had these big freaking antennas. And I'm like, what are those cops doing there? There's 2 of them. You know, and this is like 3 houses up. And then Sarah comes out and she's like, somebody called the cops because we're having a fire.
Well, I didn't realize that they were still there.
Yeah, I could walk into the backyard and there's 2 cops standing by the fire.
Like, oh. So
we just kind of hovered by the house waiting for them to finish their business because I do not want to be in any kind of interaction with it because it could begin civil, but you never, ever know.
There was that part of me that wanted to go over and just be like, hey, what's going on, guys? How you doing? Like,
you realize you're violating their rights right now.
Yeah, but I was like, okay, Mary, like, just take the beer, go inside, do your thing. I pet the cats out in the yard, said hi to the kids, and the cops were, leaving, and I'm inside there, like through the window, like taking pictures, but then, okay, so they're walking out, and I'm standing there just holding a beer, and Dave's standing there, and I was like, hey, just trying to say hi or whatever. And the one guy was just like, the other one's like, hi, I'm like, okay, bye, whatever. They left. And so I started, I don't even know that they might not have even been out of earshot. And I gave my cousin a hug, and I'm like, cops suck so bad. I'm so sorry for you, like that you had to deal with this. But apparently 2 houses over, the person
Didn't like the smoke.
doesn't like the smell of the campfire. So when they live in this like little kind of countryish area, the houses are not that far apart, but
it's definitely it's more suburban than suburban.
Yeah, she used to live right down the street from us where the houses are. And you have a tiny yard. Town, yeah. But the neighbor 2 houses over doesn't like the smell of the campfire. So they call the police. They call the police for everything. That's their answer to everything, is just call the police.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, we just moved out here last year. That's what it's like.
And it's like, in my mind, it's like, it's probably going to be fine if you call the cops, but there's always that chance that something is going to be mistaken or
dog's
elevated.
Outside or gets out the door.
And next thing you know, it's a standoff. Somebody's getting shot up. Somebody's pet's getting killed.
Luckily, and I don't mean to say luckily, but yeah, Mama's was their oldest dog, and she was the last one to pass away a couple months ago. Pits. So they had 2 pit bulls. So thankfully, Mama's had already passed.
It ain't that bad, they've shot a couple dogs, which is weird to say. Yeah,
they have. I remember it being on the front page of the paper, and I'm just like, why did they shoot that dog? It was just, why would you shoot the dog? What the hell? But yeah, I guess, like I said, okay, so what was your experience? Like, how did this go? Like, what happened? And they're just like pissed about the neighbor being such a bitch about it. But I guess the one cop was kind of a dick, he's like, where's the food? Why? And they're like, we're going to have, like, we just started the fire.
Like we're going to cook some hot dogs and stuff out here.
We're trying to get the coals.
Like questioning everything that he said. It's like, why would you think I'm lying about cooking hot dogs on this fire?
Yeah. And then, but the other one was just kind of like nice. He must have been new.
Just observing or something.
Yeah, he just kind of hung out and just stood there. Yeah, but job shadowing.
Yeah.
But so Brett's friend said, I told you always have to have a hot dog on a stick just laying around.
This hot dog.
Like, where's your hot dogs? Right here's the hot dogs.
Covered
old,
with moldy
hot dog I've had on the same stick for 2 months.
Some moss growing on it.
My father was
like, it was
sorry.
uncomfortable. Oh no, it was just like, like, why are you here? Come on. But they didn't give him any shit about it. They said, okay, well, where's your food? Whatever. Okay. But yes, you are allowed to have this fire. But the lady called the cops on him last summer for having the fire when they first moved there. So they're like, what, Brett was like, why don't you just look in the file and see?
Why don't you just call me? I know you have my number.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Just call him. And so, what was the whole point?
My FBI said to forward it to you.
2 vehicles.
Yeah, like go tell that neighbor now that when they're gonna have a fire and it's
they're allowed to do that.
They're allowed to do that. Close your windows if you don't like it.
They dispatch 2 vehicles.
Smoke some more cigarettes if you don't like the smell of the campfire. Smoke more cigarettes so you smell your own smoke, and then shut the hell up. It's just so annoying. I'm going to call the cops because my neighbor's having a campfire. Like, really? We need to involve the police?
When people call cops on the kids with the lemonade stands, like,
oh. That is messed
wow,
up.
You're a waste of oxygen.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, hero. Bravo. You get a medal, jerk.
See, these are the kind of people I think of when someone says, like, we're never going to get to Aunt Capisan. And I'm like, no, we will. And then I'm thinking of Jeff, who just called the cops on the kid with the lemonade stand. Or I'm like, maybe we won't.
Maybe we can't be left alone.
Yeah. We just won't let Jeff live in our community.
Exactly. You just kept Jeff out at that point.
Yeah, you get the fuck out, Jeff. You go live in that status village down the street where everybody's
calling
got
the
cameras
cops on
in their
everybody.
house.
Yeah, like, go ahead and live with them.
You'd be nice and safe over there.
See how much you like it. Yeah. They start calling the cops on him for his garage making too much noise when it opens,
Yes.
But the taxes suck over there.
Yeah, exactly, right? Got to pay for all that security, man. It's expensive.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, security ain't free.
I got pulled over in my parents' driveway, And
What?
Yeah, so this is a funny story.
As you were pulling in, right?
Yeah, as I was pulling in, the cop
They're probably following you for a while, and
puts
my
the
gosh.
flashers on, pulls me over. I was back on leave. They wanted to look at my car because they thought it was like out of regs because it was lowered, and so they measured my car, which was fun because it has to be a certain distance off the ground, and it was way
you've
above.
exceeded your freedom by 2 inches.
And I was way good, but so my dad comes out because he hears my car pulling up, and he gets out of his own home and steps onto his own front porch, and the police officer's like, "Sir, I'm going to need you to step back inside," and he's like, "This is my house." And he's like, "Sir, I'm going to need you to get back inside of your home." He's like, "You're on my property without a warrant." And he's like, "Sir, I'm going to need you to comply and get back into your house." And so my dad was like,
That's bullshit.
He was just like pissed off and goes back inside and
Dr.
slams.
Phil on him.
Yeah.
I remember he slams the door, and they have a glass front door with the little screen. So he opens up the screen and he stands right there in the glass and just stares at the cop.
Yes.
And then he didn't.
I'm complying.
He didn't give me a ticket or anything, but my dad came out and he was so mad, and he's had just nothing but bad interactions lately. And I posted something the other day, and he's like, "I think you've convinced me." And I told him, I was like, "I think they convinced you for themselves."
Yes.
Do you want more libertarians? Because this is how you get more libertarians.
Oh my gosh. Okay, how old were you when that happened?
I was 20,
Punk
maybe
teenager.
just barely 21.
Okay. All right. Because I was going to say, especially if you were under 18, I would have just charged out there and been like, "This is my kid, 16 or 17-year-old. Like, you are not going to talk to my child without me being present." But at the same time, it shouldn't matter because it's it's your dad's property.
And
he should have been allowed to exit. And like, I walk out there with my hands up if that's what makes you feel safer. But shit, that's garbage.
Yeah.
Telling me to stay in my house. No, thank you.
There was when I was first time I was ever pulled over, I was 16, believe it or not, and was speeding. But there's some details to this. So I was late for school. I was going to be. I ended up not being, even after being pulled over. But I was afraid I was going to be late for school because I was a good kid. I didn't like being late for things. I like following the rules. I was a good conservative child. And, 16 years old. And I was driving my little green bean to school. And I was going 33 and a 30. And I got pulled over. And he's like, "Do you know how fast you're going?" And then, he told me, he was like, if I ever see you speeding again, I'm going to make sure you end up in the back of the car in cuffs. And I called my mom, and I was like in tears. And I was like, I was going 3 miles an hour over the limit. And he told me he's going to throw me in jail if I do it again. And she was like, "He did what?" And she called up the police department. Went full mom mode.
Good for her.
Full mom mode.
I would have done the same thing.
Filed a complaint, everything. And I was legitimately terrified. Like, I've always been scared of cops. I don't want to go to jail.
As you should be.
That's how we're supposed.
Yeah,
they can ruin your life.
They can ruin your life over nothing,
or end it,
yeah.
and then we'll sort it out later.
I just it's just a kid. Like, I didn't know what to think of. Like, I've never done anything wrong in my life. I stole a pack of baseball cards when I was 3. That's the worst thing I've ever done in my life. And then I get told I'm gonna get thrown in jail for going 3 miles over the speed limit. I'm like, for one, I don't think you could do that, but that doesn't matter because I think you do it anyways. So,
Right.
Again, we'll sort it out later.
I know. I'm expecting you to say you're going like 50 and a 25, but 33 and a 30.
Like, do you know how fast you're going? I do, and that's what makes this so much worse.
I do
What the
have.
hell are you doing?
I do have one really bad speeding ticket, but that actually went better than it probably would have because it was a brand new cop, and she was like, first ticket from her. She was like,
"Oh boy!"
I was like, "Look, I was trying to go to a date, and I was late, and it was just this empty country road, and so I was just like, you know what? And I was probably going about 20 or 30 over the speed limit, and in my eyes, it was no harm, no foul. I wasn't endangering anybody. There's no property. There's not even a fence. If I flip, I die. Whatever.
Maybe a deer.
Yeah. And this cop was just sitting in this little wooded area, and I saw them right as I blew past. I saw him out of my peripheral vision, and immediately the lights came on. I was like, "Oh god, this is happening."
Like, what the hell is he doing in the county anyways? I'll tell you what, like, my parents are out in the county, and that's just how you drive. They're like, we live 45 minutes away from anything, so I'm going to go 50 on every road until I get to town, and then I'll start adhering to the laws. But I'm going to get to that point, and that's just how it goes. But there's usually it's not a problem because there's no cops out there. Like, what are you going to do? Again, hit a deer? The kids know you stay off the damn roads, or you be highly visible from a long distance away. That's just how we lived our life out there.
I've only had one speeding ticket since then. I had to pay that ticket. I didn't, get thrown in jail or anything. They dropped it like 5 miles an hour or something for me because I don't know, something to do with they have to because of like the angle I was driving at, and there's a chance it like overclocked me or something. So they dropped it by like 5 miles.
Wow.
I was probably going at least 20 over, but it was like 15 on the ticket.
When Dave and I were younger, we were. Did you put that heater on? When we were, I think I was 19 and he was 20. We were parked in this. Well, okay, so it used to be his grade school. Yeah, but they actually
they closed on the school and made it into the municipal building. So
was it the municipal building when we went there? Okay, so we parked back in the parking lot there. We were just going to drink. There's a playground. Yeah,
parked in the municipal building parking lot. All the county offices are in there, so we're going to park there and drink.
That's good. So, I like it.
Thankfully, Dave wasn't drinking though. Yeah. I was the big
No, I was high.
He was super high. I love Captain Morgan, and we're just going to hang out here and maybe play on the playground, and then all of a sudden we see these lights coming towards us, and I was like, oh my gosh! And it was the cops, it was the state troopers, and they wanted to see Dave's license and registration. And Dave happened to be kind of living out of his car at that point because he was working 2 jobs and going to school at the time, and so he just
fight with my parents. So I had all my clothes in my trunk and in my car. It was just like I lived in my car, you know, and spent a lot of time with her at my buddy's house. And
and so
I couldn't find my wallet. I didn't know where it was.
Yeah, he's like, it's somewhere. I don't know where it is, and so the cop was like, all right, you got to get out. Well, Dave had hidden his.
I had a bowl in my sock, and I had a bag in my underwear.
Yeah.
And I got frisked.
And he got frisked. Yeah, thank God you put that bowl in your shoe, man. I'm telling you what. This is like back in like 99.
Oh, yeah, I just had my windshield replaced, so I didn't have a sticker on my windshield either.
Yeah, they didn't put a new inspection sticker on that. That was another one.
That was a close one right there.
Yeah, so he searches my car. I don't remember. I must have given him consent. I didn't know anything back then, So he found Mary's bottle of Captain Morgan. It's like, and I'm like, I wasn't drinking that. I haven't drank anything. And
I tried to hide it. It fucking reeked of alcohol.
Yeah, she was hammered.
I was hammered. Yeah.
She almost cried when he poured it out. And he found my wallet, which was nice. So he got all the information he needed.
Yep. And then he wanted to search my purse. And I was like, whatever. So it was just like a little satchel, kind of like a tiny little.
Oh, that was the other thing where he's like, are you here voluntarily?
Oh, he did ask that. Yeah. I was like, yep, I'm here to drink and hang out, and wrecked it. I was, I was sassy. I know I was kind of bitchy, like
it was nightmare.
It was nightmare.
Teenage nightmare.
Teenage nightmare.
Sounds like one hell of a interesting conversation.
Yeah. So he pours out the alcohol, and I'm just like, and he's like looking at me, and I'm looking at him like, jerk. So, and then he's like, he gives me back my purse, and he goes, put that mace at the bottom. And I was like, oh, thanks. Like, I'm going to fucking mace you, you idiot. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do now.
We're thinking we could take them.
Yeah, I think I could just mace both these.
This is where our whole story changes.
Yeah. They have our licenses. But yeah, I'm totally going to mace you and run away for the rest of my life. But just the way they were kind of jerky about it. So, okay, so I worked at Eaton Park. Both of us did. And other waitresses there, like we knew the state cops or whatever, because they would come in all the time to get drinks, or not drinks. I'm saying drinks. I'm like, I need a drink. They would get food.
They get a discount.
Yeah, they get a discount. It was right off the interstate. So, but like all the other like little blonde waitresses and stuff, they were all like, I mean, there were some of the cops that were nice to me, but this one in particular, he was talking to a friend of mine at Eaton Park and was like, I think I just pulled over one of your little waitress friends, and then I like saying all the shit about me to her. And I was like, that's not very nice. And like, if it had been you wouldn't have gotten in any trouble. You wouldn't be losing your license for 3 months. Yeah, we both lost our license. You wouldn't be going to court for
I was in possession of the alcohol, so I lost my license too because it was in my car.
But anyway, so what, I mean, I don't know. The guy he was a turd. So, but we had to go we had our own separate like little
classes,
court dates and classes and things. And then I had to send my license in to them for 3 months. So I had to tell my parents like, hey, I fucked up. I need you to drive me to work for 3 months now. And so I sent my license in, but I had lost my original. So I had to get a duplicate license. So I had a duplicate for like 6 months or something. I sent the duplicate in because that's all I had. And 3 months later, I thought I was going to get my license back. They send me a note that says, you sent us the duplicate license. We have reason to believe that you've still been using your original license to drive. So now you have to send that one in and you have to serve another 3 months. So I was pissed. I was really pissed off. And I had to call and like explain. I'm like, why did you wait 3 months to tell me this? Why didn't you tell me when you got it? But it's because it's just paperwork to them. Yeah. The bureaucracy of it all. And
it's not people.
But yeah. But so that was just like frustrating and very, I don't know, whatever. But it was like, it irritated me how I saw that copy like all cool and like let other waitresses go on shit. But because it was me and I wasn't buddy with them, it was, I got the ticket,
Yeah.
So
it's funny how easily we're here for you, but we're going to make you dislike us as much as we possibly can.
Yeah.
God.
And I get so nervous around them. I hate how nervous I get, even when they're just driving behind me. Like we were talking to, what's his name? Brian Ellison, the guy from, he was talking about his experience with the police and how he would notice that if they were behind him, he would pull over and then he would start to follow them.
And then he made a thing of it.
And and they didn't like that. They don't like to be followed.
Why are you following me?
But it is sort of our job, isn't it? Sort of our job to make sure that are the people that we have in place to protect us. That they're on the straight and narrow. That they're doing the best for us.
Yeah,
I'm not that. I'm not that ballsy now.
So many. I mean, I just don't know if you really can be, honestly. I mean, perhaps that's too bold a statement, but like, I'm going to be honest. I care a little bit more about me getting locked up in a cage than I do about trolling and making sure, like, I appreciate what all these people do when they do like their open carry exercises and, express their rights, but it never ends well. And
no, it's scary as shit.
I'm just in a position where I can't have that on me,
Oh.
Yeah.
My life cannot handle that kind of interruption.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would do.
I don't want to lose what little Second Amendment rights I have because
I
wanted to.
Yeah, they took his guns away.
Yeah.
His favorite part was,
that's right. He's got to tell us if he got his gun back.
But where he was being arrested for, I think he was basically protesting outside of the allowable protesting area.
The imaginary square that they.
So he was getting arrested for that, and I think one of the people at the processing him said, "Well, you're just lucky that you live in a country where you can protest." And he's like, "I'm being arrested right now for protesting."
Why do you think I'm here right now? Like. People like to use that. Lucky enough. But that's it.
But again, it's all or relative. We are relatively lucky to live with the freedoms we do have.
I don't want to see it. I don't want to see us forking over our freedoms. Like we have been. I don't want to see that happen. When our kids, what's going to happen to them? I want it to be better, but I don't know how. I don't know what to do.
I haven't heard a convincing enough excuse to really sway me in one way or another. Honestly, on cops, I'm pretty. It just seems to get, my opinion gets lower and lower every time something new comes out, and I'm like, okay, I've hit rock bottom now. Like, this is as far as they can take me. And then they're like, hold my beer or hold my Glock.
Yeah, they're like, hold on, watch us shoot this black guy sitting on the ground with his hands in.
Oh, right.
With the special needs kid, when he had a fire truck or something.
Oh my god!
And he was trying to shoot the special needs kid, but he missed and shot the black guy on the ground with his hands in the air.
Oh,
wait, why was he trying to shoot the special needs kid to begin with?
Because he wouldn't put down the fire truck.
The toy?
It wasn't a kid. It was like a a young adult or something like that, but he had
Who
mental
cares?
problems.
He has a fire truck.
I don't. He felt
And the
threatened.
man
He
was
didn't know what it was.
explaining that to him too. He's like,
Yeah.
he doesn't understand what's happening. Like, just please, like, put the gun down and let's just go through this.
Right.
It's not going to hurt anybody. And then he fucking shoots him. God,
That's
like,
terrible.
And if that was in front of my house, like, man, you know, I say this all the time, and I really hope that none of this is true, and that I'm not this stupid, but like, I could see myself doing something really dumb if I saw something like that happen in person. Like, you know, people are like,
evidently this guy has gone insane and he needs stopped.
Yes, he just violated that man's nap.
But he's wearing a costume, so it's like, we gotta reevaluate the whole situation.
That's what it is. Yeah,
that costume, we have to show respect.
And why did you shoot me? In quotes, why did you shoot me?
Oh my god,
that's exactly what dude said.
Did you say that?
Yeah.
What? Okay, see, Dave knows he can't show me this shit. Like, he'll show me stuff sometimes, and I'm like, can't even, because I get fired up.
I don't know. That was.
My God, I
think that was
yeah. He goes,
I don't know.
I don't know.
I have this gun.
And you see too. Okay, so Siren says
I almost feel bad for the officer.
Or the man was autistic. You need to understand that not everyone you come in contact with is going to be on the same
or they're having
mental wavelength as you are. You know, they might have a
or like when they go hypoglycemic or whatever. You know, like I've been with a girl who had sugar problems, and I'm like, all of a sudden I'm like, this girl is drunk. Like, she's stumbling around and everything. But hadn't had a drink. Her sugar was off. I got her a Sunday and we were cool again. But, and they're like, oh, this person isn't complying. This person's having a medical emergency. Why aren't you complying?
But all they say is you're not complying. But maybe they don't have the ability to understand, obviously, the situation, or like with that girl. But to just like, our gun is our go-to. Like, that's not okay. Boy, oh boy.
The biggest snowflakes on planet Earth. Let me tell you what.
That just gets me riled up, man.
Yeah.
Because and then we're supposed to, thank you for what you do for us. And oh boy.
We always get into this territory where we're like, oh shit, this is going to go public.
Mm-hmm. Only because I have an extended relative who's a police officer. But no, this is one of the parts of me that it needs to come out. I need to be able to say.
I mean, nothing to say is illegal. You're not inciting violence against police or anything. So.
Exactly. I'm just the police state itself. I don't believe in it.
You're
don't like it.
All of the violence. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Don't go out and punch cops. Don't start things you don't have to start. And please, for the love of God, stop shooting my pets and people. For the love of God.
Right. Please. I would love some peace. I don't want anyone attacking anybody. I don't.
If a cop shot my dog, I'd probably die. Like, I'm dumb enough that in that moment, I'd lose my shit. I'd be like, this is it. Yeah. This is where I use my freedoms. It's like, you lose.
You're not allowed to have that gun anymore. that probably wouldn't end well.
Yeah, try taking their gun.
You obviously don't know how to use this. You cannot be trusted.
It's like, oh, excuse me, officer, let me go grab my paperwork. Yeah. I think I filed it in the A's and then just open up the rack. AR-15. There it is. Okay, cool.
That's it too. I mean, why?
Don't ever do that. For the love of God, don't ever do that. Obviously, that's a really bad joke, and I hope no one would ever make the mistake of doing that, because it would be the end of your life. But
end of absolutely. Yep.
At the same time, no knock warrant. Someone kicks my door in. I've been very well trained. You shoot first and you ask questions later.
Yeah, I don't know your intentions.
And that's what they. Yeah, that's what they do. Outfit. Shoot first.
Yeah.
I don't know who you are, what your intentions are. Once you get me under control. And I mean, if someone kicks in your door, I'm not going to be like, can I see some ID, please?
Yeah.
Like, you didn't like knock and ring the bell or anything.
Do me a favor, lower the gun and let's talk this out.
Yeah.
Before things get crazy.
Yeah.
So is that all you have to do if you want to be like a really successful robber? Is just like wear cop outfits, kick the door in, and be like, police, get on the ground.
Yeah,
There you go.
And then zip tie everybody, and then
Take all
go
their
about
stuff.
your business.
Yeah.
Oh shit, that's going to be the new thing. And now my mom is going to tag me in all of those things.
Somebody's going to make up the story where that really happened.
Yeah.
You guys need to be careful about what they're doing now. Nobody's doing that until you made a Facebook post about somebody supposedly doing that. They'll put a note on your windshield and they'll put a brick behind your tire.
Right.
Who are they? Who's doing that?
It's because she loves me. That's why she tags me in all of those posts. But it scares me. Like, I don't even read it. I'm like, whatever. I can't scare myself anymore. My mom tagged me in a thing that said about sepsis and how it's occurring more and more in people. And I'm like,
What's that?
no, sepsis? I don't know. I was like, I'm not reading that. Like when your whole body just kind of shuts
like
down.
A bacterial infection that gets into your
infection.
blood system and starts going to your internal organs.
Oh, okay.
Like, I know that's a thing. You should probably avoid that. I don't think it needs to be.
But I can't. I don't want to read it.
Yeah.
Read it.
That's life, bro.
Yeah. I knew that was out there. I don't need to read about it.
I have to stop myself sometimes because I get into like this crazy train of like I was at work. I was taking a smoke break, taking my union is what I call it, and and the I was tagged in one of the Free Thought Project videos because someone wanted my thoughts on it. I watched the whole thing, and it started, and I took a little bit longer of a break than I should have because I had to cool off afterwards. But it was that guy in the parking lot who was asleep, and like. That's such a horrible situation for a cop to be in because the dude had a gun in his lap. Like, do not fall asleep in your car with your fucking gun in your lap.
Oh, yeah.
But, dude, they lit him up. The second he woke up, he crouches forward because all he sees is all these lights and guns on him. He goes forward. Yeah. He's got a gun on his lap, and like four cops just crossfire right into him. He got shot like 20 times or something like that. Like, guys, I think like 3 is pretty much fucking overkill. Let's be honest here.
Yeah.
And Jesus, man, they turned him into Swiss cheese. And I was at work and I was like, oh my God. Like, the video that I watched was pretty non-biased, honestly. And they were like, look, I'm not making a statement about this. He's like, I'm going to show the footage from every angle that we have it. And we're going to show slow-mos. And we're going to try to give the best perspective that we can on what happened. Again, I can almost empathize with the cops because the dude had a gun in his lap. He wasn't responding to anybody. Like, that's a sketchy situation to be in. I'd be sketched out if I saw somebody like that. Don't get me wrong. But my first reaction is not, God, you just make them Swiss cheese, man. You know?
Right.
It's just.
Did they feel that? Did people call the police and say there's a man sleeping with a gun on his lap?
He was at Taco Bell.
We need you to circle him. Okay.
And they were like, this guy's passed out. It looks like he has a gun. So
okay.
They all just like stay inside and they like lock the doors and everything and all that jazz.
Yeah.
So. I'm sure everybody was scared. I get it. Like, that's one of the worst case situations, but I was just so like, obviously, no duh. He should not have passed out in a Taco Bell parking lot in the middle of the driveway with a gun in his lap. That's just like asking to die.
Yes.
Like
maybe it was.
For it.
Oh.
We'll never know his intentions, though.
Maybe.
Shit. Maybe he was, yeah.
There was one of those in Erie recently.
Suicide
by cop.
What are you talking about?
There was one, something. It was a chase or something. And I don't even know if they gave him what he wanted, but I think he came out and he brought the gun up on him. I can't remember how that one went.
Was it recent?
It was semi-recent. It was within the past few months.
Dave knows not to. I can't even handle. I cannot process that stuff. And so, like, for a while, I'm going to say this. We were doing really good about going to church. This was a couple years ago, but the pastor was talking about praying for our community, and I was like, yeah, because I believe in that. But he had suggested, like watching the news and reading the paper, and praying for those people that, you see in there. But I cannot do that. I can't, I want to pray for those people, but I can't watch the news. I can't read the paper. It's depressing. My brain just cannot take it in and then find happiness afterwards. I don't know how people do it. I can't.
It's easy
And
to
Dave
get
says
yourself
people
in a
at his
spiral.
work. Yeah, people at work, they're like, he's like, they just all like they get first thing in the morning. They get into work and a cup of coffee and just the paper.
Read the whole newspaper.
The whole entire paper, And I don't know how to like move on after I read all of that. I feel too much, I can't even read sad stories on Facebook. Nope.
You have
can't
to
do that.
to a certain extent. Like, I think I can separate myself from a lot of things, and I try whenever I can to talk about police, but I think it's one that just really gets to me. It's just because it's like, this is just legalized murder. And it's like, how do I separate myself? How do I get my feelings out of this and just talk, try to be rational about it? Like, how can you,
Yeah. Yep.
I could do that with a lot of things. I can, something I try really hard anyways to do, but I just can't. And that's why a lot of times, like for a while, like I just had to mute the Free Thought Project 3.0 on my Facebook.
Really?
Because there was just day after day after day of like, oh, look, this guy just murdered this person look, this guy just murdered. And I'm like, I'm glad that you guys are getting this out there.
Wow.
But like, I just can't. I
can't
do this every day, go through this emotional roller coaster of like, this happens and everyone's okay with it mostly.
Yeah. And everyone is, well, a lot of people are.
And even,
that's not why I think.
Oh, no, sorry. I was just going to say, even
No, go ahead.
Even the people who scream about this the most from the political mainstream, the left, what are they doing about it? Like, we need to put more cameras on them. Okay, well, we did that. It's not fixing anything. We have more information than ever to get these people the punishment that they deserve. And they're just being like put on leave and, come back to work a couple months later, paid administrative leave.
Oh,
like, I'll take that.
The camera wasn't working.
Give me some paid administrative leave.
Right. Well, that's what my cousin said today too. She's like, I think we were being recorded, and I'm like, and Dave, I'm like, my husband, Dave said, probably because for your own safety, because if they were to shoot you for no reason, then they have that on there, But it's the whole thing is weird. It's getting out of hand.
It's been out of hand.
What to do about it?
Been out of hand since like the 90s. Yeah. Let's just be honest here.
Yeah.
Back then
there a whole riot over that?
Right.
Back then you could actually just shoot a black person and just be like, oh, he was black. That's why I shot him. And then everyone would be like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's cool.
It was Thursday night after 8. Oh, I thought that was just a misdemeanor.
It's awful.
No, that's capital offense.
Oh, shit. No, it is. It's terrible. And that's one of the things that I get where in my mind, I'm like, so where does the change come in? How are we going to start? Where do we start?
Maybe we have.
That's what you do. Because you can't fix the rules immediately. You get rid of their money, so they have to shrink in size and they can't do it as much. Mm-hmm. That's really it. Like you make them give up all their toys, like their bomb-proof, death Humvees that they have, and their arsenal of military grade weapons and stuff like that. And then, you just make it to where they're not as good at killing as many people as possible. Yeah. And then the rules change around that. That's the easiest way.
It's always that hammer nail thing. Just start taking away their hammers.
Yeah.
They'll stop looking for nails.
It's not as much fun to punch a nail, I promise.
What's the word I'm looking for where they just take your money? Or the
civil
phrase.
Asset forforfeiture?
Yeah, that stuff.
Should be gone. That should have been gone centuries ago, but whatever,
Yeah. And it's like you need to take a car from somebody, then it goes to Goodwill. You don't get to keep that. You don't.
Oh yeah, yep.
That pile of weed, just give it to Goodwill.
Yeah, I mean
they'll make some money off it, and then you can go ahead and collect it again.
Really helping the community.
You want to serve and protect? Yeah, start donating your vehicles. Right? For people who need them. Yeah. Like these broke college kids who need a car, go from school to work and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, why not?
Suddenly he's in a Bentley going to community college.
Hey.
That they got from the local kingpin.
That's going to be it for episode 1 with Dave and Mary. Absolutely fantastic stuff so far. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. We had a lot of great conversations. As always, if you enjoyed the show, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, depending on what platform you're on. Leave a review if you're on iTunes or any of the other podcast distributors that allow you to. If you guys like the show and would like to continue to get updates from me, you can go ahead and like the Facebook page and join the community group. We do all sorts of stuff there. I'd like to also announce that we have opened up a Patreon. I'm not going to push that on you guys too hard. If you like the show and would like to support, that would be the easiest way to do so for as little as $1 a month. And anything counts, and I appreciate all of your support. Part 2 of this episode will be coming out in the next couple of days. It'll pretty much pick up right where we left off and has plenty of good stuff to do. So other than that, I don't have anything else for you guys. Again, I hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll come back for the next episode. Take it easy.